Okay, so before this video starts, I just wanna say that this isn't my story. It's a fanfic. The link will be in the description, which will have other links as well. Also, with these videos I don't listen to the videos I upload, so if there is anything that is too bad or explicit for YouTube, then let me know and please timestamp it. Anyways, let's get into the video.
Hello?
Anime demigod.
Here?
I will not live much longer, said an elderly-looking person with deep voice who had horns protruding from his forehead, and he was dressed in a high-collared full-length pure white kimono with a pattern of 6 black megatama around the collar. On the back of his kimono there was a larger, black Rinnegan marking with a pattern of 9 megatama arranged in 3 rows of 3 beneath it. Shukaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Sungaku, Kokuo, Seiken, Kome, Jayaki, and Karama. The person continued addressing the baby-tailed beasts around him, which were listening carefully what he has to say to them. Even if you are far apart, you will always be together. Eventually the day will come when you will be united again. Each of you with a unique name and a different form than before. And unlike when you were inside of me, you will be guided down the right path. I hope you learn what true strength is. The person then took a small pause to turn his face slightly backwards to look over his shoulder so that only the lower features of his face could be seen. Before that time comes. The person finished his sentence, making a certain tailed beast to have tears in his eyes. 9 tails. This transient form is nothing more than a nodule, said a person to a mighty tailed beast that stood towering over him by a huge margin. He had waist-length spiky hair with shoulder-length bangs framing the sides of his face, covering most of his right eye. He wore a crimson armor with numerous metal plates, forming protective guards along his chest, waist, shoulders and thighs. He was carrying a brown gunbei on his back. You're only a piece of yourself. Appetence of your true power. The person said again. Quiet. The beast growled. You are merely an ignorant and unstable power. The person taunted again. Shut up. The beast said again with more anger bubbling inside. The ones who shall guide you are the Uchiha. You tailed beasts are simply servants of those with visual prowess. The person kept on insulting. Shut the hell up. The beast roared in rage. Now obey me. 9 tails. Your power is too great and too destructive. I'm sorry, I can't let you run around loose, said a person with waist-length black hair typically styled in a center-parted fringe that framed his face. He was wearing a dark red armor which was constructed from numerous metal plates, formed into multiple protective guards along his body. Each collar of his shoulder guards bore the Senju symbol. He had some battle wounds on his face and some blood was dripping from the left side of his mouth and left side of his cheek, like he just fought the battle of his life. Whenever you exercise your power, you always draw hatred to you. Please just stay quiet inside me, said a woman with bright red hair and large, pupil-less eyes. She was wearing an elaborate, high-collared kimono and her hair was arranged in buns with hairpins in them and 3 clips in the front. She also wore a dark shade of red lipstick and had a marking reminiscent of the strength of 100 seal on her forehead. She also wore tags with kanji written on them in her hair decals. This is an unfortunate situation for the both of us. So, please listen. You're here to keep the world in check. But I'm here to keep watch over you, said a woman who had long, straight, and red-colored hair with shoulder-length strands that framed both sides of her face and a black clip that parts her hair to the left. Deep within the darkness behind the 8 huge cage bars of the 8 trigrams seal, 2 large eyes opened up, casting an ominous glow within the darkness of the cell. The eyes were red in color with vertically slit pupils. You were always wrong, father. The beast muttered to himself, referring to his creator when he realized that he just woke up now after getting sealed again from 9 long years of slumber full of nightmares about all the wrongful things done to him in the past. You were always wrong for asking us to help the humans in need. The beast took a pause to release a sigh and to lay down his head on his front legs and continued again. Madara, Hashirama, Mito and Kushina. Doesn't matter whether they are good or bad, humans are all the same. Then the beast just closed his eyes again and continued to mutter his thoughts out loud. Though they have no true strength of their own, they force their ideals on us and restrain us. For now, I will just have to wait a few more minutes for my jailer to appear here. If I am not wrong, he must be 9 years old now. Then the beast had a short but terrifying laugh. I can't wait to tear him to shreds when he comes close. Then the beast went silent again and kept on waiting for the long-awaited meeting with his jailer. Outside the 8 trigrams seal Senju residence. It had been a year since the Senju clan fought for the respect of Sakumo Heitake. Since then the tower located exactly at the center of Training Ground 44 had been named Heitake Tower, and a large statue of Sakumo Heitake had been erected in the stadium within the tower where Chunin exam finals always take place. The name Sakumo Heitake, the White Fang of the Leaf Village, had been proudly etched onto the Leaf's memorial stone, and Sakumo Heitake's final resting place had been given a proper gravestone, so that the people who may come to pay their respects to him can find his final resting place easily. Also, since then all the shinobi who have lost their lives in this 1 year, have been given a final resting place near him. Senju clan received huge respect from shinobi population, but the entire civilian council started hating them for making them lose the edge they had on the Hokage and the shinobi council. Even if they don't outright say any hateful words to them, they still held hatred towards Senju family inside of them. The surprising thing is that the civilian population seemed to be not affected even after word had spread out that the Hokage will no longer listen to the demands of civilian council. Most civilian population already didn't like Naruto at all because of the incident that happened 9 years ago, but they never said anything hateful to Naruto as they know who his father is. It just seemed that this new development with civilian council has neither increased nor decreased the hate in civilian population, but it remained the same as before. Naruto, his mother, and sister were curious to know why there was no outrage in civilian population after the civilian council had lost most of its power within the village, but they never found the reason. Today is Naruto's 9th birthday and his mother and sister were preparing for the small celebration which will take place in the evening. Naruto has already invited his friends in class and asked them to come along with their parents too. Tsunade had also invited the family of Tajuna a few days back, but she did not get any reply from them. She thought maybe they were just busy. While his mother and sister were waiting for him to wake up, the blonde was still asleep. A few minutes later, the blonde boy slowly woke up to the sound of water dripping. Yawn well. Today is the day, muttered Naruto, referring to his 9th birthday with a yawn while rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. But as soon as his vision focused he was confused as to why he was in a darkly lit underground complex, with 2 pipes running along the ceiling and various hallways. The floor was flooded with a shallow layer of water, which is only 1 inch in depth. One of the 2 pipes on the ceiling was red in color and it was the largest of the 2. The other pipe on ceiling was blue in color and it was almost 1/3 the size of the red one. Where am I? Naruto asked no one in particular. He was still dressed in his pajamas that he wore to sleep. Soon the blonde boy heard some noise that sounded like it was the breath of someone or something. So, he followed the sound through the complex and soon he was greeted with the sight of a huge cage with double doors. The cage doors have 8 huge metal bars that went through the darkness above and it looked like they don't have an end. Both doors of the cage were closed shut with a sheet of parchment in the middle securing them. The parchment had the kanji for seal written on it. Naruto can't see what was there on the other side of the cage as there is too much darkness on that side of the cage. But soon the darkness was obliterated by the glow cast upon by 2 large red eyes with vertically slit pupils. Then the eyes seemingly started raising above the ground, like whoever was on the other side of the cage is standing up. Finally, I get to meet my jailer after all this time. Whoever was on the other side of the cage said and spit the word jailer like it was some sort of a poison. Naruto got curious to find out who it was and approached a safe distance from the seal and saw what was on the other side of the cage. Standing there towering over the blonde boy by a large margin was the mighty Nine Tails, a tailed beast that is said to have caused tsunamis and earthquakes with just a small flick of one of its tails. 9 Tails? Naruto asked just to make sure. So, you know me? Asked 9 Tails, not really expecting an answer. Yes. You're the friend that my father and mother left behind for me. Naruto said, feeling excited to meet the 9 Tails. Whatever the 9 Tails was expecting, that response from the boy was not in any of his expectations. But still he didn't let it show outside and questioned, "You do know that I killed your parents, don't you?" Naruto's eyes narrowed a bit, but he replied anyway, "Yes, I know. And I also know that your actual intention was to kill me, but they got in your way." 9 Tails just raised his massive eyebrow and asked, "That may be the truth. But still. I killed your parents and I intended to kill you too. So why do you want to consider someone who killed your parents as a friend? My mom taught me that hanging on to hatred and rage will ruin everything I have. She taught me to move forward and to accept who I am and who you are." Naruto said, referring to himself and the 9 Tails, then he continued again, "Also, anyone who was put in a situation where they will be forced into imprisonment for the crimes that they haven't really committed would most likely try to do the same thing that you did. The Ninetales seemed a little surprised about this kid's odd personality and asked, "How can you be so sure that I haven't committed the crimes that I am being imprisoned for?" Naruto spread his hands wide and bowed a little like he was introducing himself. "I am a sensory type." He then stood back up and faced the Ninetales again and continued, "I can sense if someone is saying the truth or not, and I can also sense what they are feeling. From the very first moment I saw you, I felt only anger from you. Innocents who were wronged feel anger, whereas someone who did something wrong and is imprisoned for life will feel hatred and rage. So, you feeling only anger is a good sign that you truly believe that you're an innocent. A person can fool many others, but no matter what they can never fool themselves, and they can't hide who they really are from themselves." He paused and looked straight into eyes of the Ninetales and asked, "Am I wrong?" The Ninetales was taken back by that accurate explanation from someone so young, but then he shook his head slightly and remembered that he intended to tear this child apart when he met him and said, "So, you consider me your friend?" "Yes," Naruto replied. "Then come close, kid." Ninetales called, not really expecting the boy to come close to the cage bars, but he was surprised when Naruto actually came close and stood exactly at the center of the seal facing the beast. Well, Ninetales started saying with a light laughter. "I thought you were actually an intelligent kid after hearing the speech you just gave. But you're actually an idiot. Now die." Ninetales shouted the last two words and slammed his massive right paw on Naruto very hardly through the gap between the bars of the cage. In the real world, Lady Tsunade, has Naruto-kun not woken up yet? Shizune asked her master, who was in the kitchen when she still didn't find her brother running around the home. "I guess not." "Well, let him have his sleep. After all, today will be a busy day for him and for us too." Tsunade answered, not turning back to look at her assistant, and kept on working on the turkey chicken, which is gonna be on the menu in the evening. "Okay, Lady Tsunade. It's just that I have this nagging feeling that he might be in danger." Shizune finally opened up on what was actually bothering her. Tsunade stopped working on the turkey chicken and turned around to look at her apprentice and put her hands on her shoulders to comfort her and said, "You know him very well, just as I do, Shizune. He has the guts to stand against all the odds. Inside the 8 trigrams seal. I thought dealing with him would be a pain in the neck. But he is a lot dumb." Ninetales was interrupted from his bragging when he felt something under his paw. The huge paw of the Ninetales was being forcefully lifted, even though the mighty beast kept applying pressure onto the paw. "What?" The beast can't help but shout in surprise. Naruto lifted the beast's paw all the way above his head and forced it backwards a little, and then brought it back to his waist level and took hold of the paw in his hands with an iron grip, having an intense gaze all the time on his face. For a brief second the beast almost thought he saw Hashirama Senju in the place of the kid holding his paw. The beast tried his best to get his paw out from the blonde kid's grip, but when he could not get it out, "Just die." The beast shouted in frustration and threw its left paw, this time through the gap between cage bars, to smash the kid flat on the ground. But imagine his surprise when Naruto caught his other paw too with his right hand, and now both of his paws were stuck in the boy's hands. Naruto kept both of the beast's legs locked in an iron grip in his hands and looked straight into the eyes of the beast with such an intense anger that it made the mighty beast itself to worry a little, and said in an ominous way, "I trusted you." Then, without any warning, the blonde kid in an unbelievable show of strength jerked both the legs that he held in his hands forward, forcing the beast's head to crash into the cage bars with a loud bang. "What the hell are you?" the beast shouted in surprise after having a first-hand experience of the incredible strength of the boy. He seriously wanted to rub his head, which was throbbing in pain, but the kid was still not letting his paws go. "I really wanted to be your friend." Then he repeated the action again, causing another loud bang echoing throughout the seal. "Stop it, you idiot!" the beast shouted. "I even tried to move forward from the fact that you killed my parents." Another loud bang. "I said stop it!" the beast shouted again in frustration and headache. "You tried to kill me once and you try to kill me now too." Another loud bang. Okay. I'm sorry. Now let me go, you freak." the beast shouted at last, finally realizing that the boy won't let him go if he doesn't. Even if he wanted to retaliate, he can't due to the presence of the cage that is imprisoning him. "Better," said the blonde, and then finally he let go of the beast's paws, which the beast immediately used to rub his aching head. "I think our first meeting is a disaster. So, let's talk like civilized beings the next time," Naruto said, still feeling a little angry at the beast. "I won't forget what you did, brat. Mark my words." I will never be your friend and I will tear you into thousands of pieces the first chance I get. The beast declared. You can try. The boy challenged and paused to release a sigh to cool his anger down, and a few moments later he continued again, look. I said I want you to be my friend, but it's your choice. I won't force my ideals on you. That made the beast to pause and raise an eyebrow at the last sentence said by the boy standing against him. A few seconds later the beast replied again, humans are all the same and you're nothing different, kid. Now, be gone. With that, Naruto woke up on his bed in real life. He decided that it will be best if he kept the meeting with the beast within a secret for now. No need to get his mother, sister, and uncle worried for nothing. That evening. Soon the time for birthday celebrations had come and Shikamaru, Ino, Koji, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Sakura, and even the duck-butt-haired Sasuke also showed up. Sasuke came alone, Hinata came along with her father Hayashi, whereas Shino came along with his father Shivi, and everyone else came with both of their parents. Naruto noticed that Sasuke was brooding in a corner alone, not really enjoying the party. So, he approached him and asked, why the long-faced duck-butt? Shut it, Dobe. Sasuke said in irritation at the joke on his hairstyle. Alright, so what's the matter though? The blonde probed. My father tried to teach me our clan's signature jutsu, fire style, great fireball, today and I couldn't do it. Sasuke said and sighed before continuing again, I think he's disappointed in me. Is that so? Naruto said, rubbing his chin, and tried to sense Sasuke's chakra, and after 3 seconds he said, have you ever tried to learn a lightning style jutsu before? Eh? What are you talking about, Dobe? Sasuke asked. Well, duck-butt. Try to learn some lightning style jutsus from time to time. Who knows? Maybe they will come easily to you. Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders. What are you going on about? Sasuke shouted childishly and grabbed Naruto by his shirt collar in a playful way. I will explain some other time, duck-butt. Naruto said cryptically while poking the duck-butt-haired kid on his forehead with his index and middle fingers, which made the kid to leave his shirt. The blonde then walked away, leaving behind a confused Sasuke. Oh, for God's sake. You're almost as complicated as my elder brother sometimes, Dobe. Was the frustrated shout from Sasuke. That night. On a cliff beside the Naka River. You're the only one I can count on. My best friend. Said a person standing near the edge of the cliff holding something very gently in his bloody left fist. He had both of his eyes closed and had blood coming out from his eye sockets. Then he offered his bloody hand to the other person who was standing in front of him and continued saying, protect the village and the Uchiha name. Both of them. And then he opened his bloody fist. In his palm he was holding a single ultimate Mangekyo Sharingan. The other person closed his eyes for a moment, understanding the gravity of the situation and the responsibility that is being placed on his shoulders now. From the distance a crow can be seen in the bright green light cast upon by the moon flying towards the two men. It approached the open bloody palm being held by the first person and took the Mangekyo Sharingan carefully in its talons and then disappeared in a burst of black crow feathers. The feathers then started to gently fall down, occupying the area surrounding the two men, creating a small breeze. All right. I accept it. What will you do now? Asked the person who had just accepted the Mangekyo Sharingan. If I die, many things will change. But I left a note. The person who was still bleeding from his eye sockets said as he took some steps backwards towards the edge of the cliff. Wait. Don't try to stop me, Itake. The person said and took a pause just as he stood on the absolute edge of the cliff. He then had a genuine smile on his face and fell backwards in the Naka River from the top of the cliff by finishing his sentence, if you're truly my friend. Shisui. The now identified Itake shouted and made a mad dash to save his friend. But he couldn't reach Shisui Uchiha in time to grab him and witnessed his friend fall into the depths of the Naka River. He closed his eyes, letting the darkness consume him as he watched his friend die for what he believed in. Shisui. Muttered Itake as he was still surrounded by the darkness. And then the darkness surrounding him was slashed open by the red glow of his blood tears and his newly awakened Mangekyo Sharingan. Leaf Village. Full moon night. Unknown location. A masked person with a dark cloak and a sword kept in his sash at waist level could be seen walking through the woods. His mask had a single eye hole with black stripes on it forming a flame pattern. Hey! Came a voice from above the treetops, which made the masked person to stop walking and turn around to face the new person who just jumped down from the treetops. The new person was wearing the standard Umbu outfit of the Leaf Village. There is something that I would like you to help me with. the Umbu told the masked person. Leaf Village. War Room. In the secret cabin within the war room, the third Hokage and Danzo sat facing each other with a table placed in between them. Danzo stood up to leave after saying what he had to say. Wait, we haven't reached a conclusion. Hiruzen said as he also stood up. If the Uchiha are getting ready to act, then we are going to have to make our preparations as well. Danzo replied. Preparations only, Danzo? Hiruzen made sure to give an underlined instruction. Was Danzo's reply. Leaf Village. Umbu headquarters. Each and every Umbu available within the village were getting their equipment ready as they were instructed in Umbu HQ. They were not told what their mission is yet. It's an emergency alert. Level 1. Said an Umbu member with short brown hair wearing a mask that resembles a cat's face covered in green, and red intricate markings to another Umbu member with spiky silver gravity-defying hair wearing a fox mask which had red and black markings around the eyes, sides, and mouth. The silver-haired Umbu nodded and instructed everyone else by relaying his command, get ready to move out. Hurry. Leaf Village. Leaf Police Force Headquarters. Near the entrance of the Uchiha Police Force Headquarters a swirling portal opened up and the masked person from earlier stepped out. Who are you? Demanded one of the Uchiha clan member who is on guard duty at the entrance. Leaf Village. Uchiha District. I shouldn't have stayed practicing shurikens with Naruto. I'm totally late, thought a 10-year-old Sasuke as he kept running towards his home in the Uchiha District. In mid-run he felt like someone was watching him from above, so he stopped to take a good look at the electric pole that was high above him placed at a few feet distance from his current position. What was that? I could have sworn that someone was there. Sasuke thought observing the normal-looking electric pole. But as soon as he looked down, the entire street of the Uchiha district was filled with the dead bodies of his clan members. These were corpses of the people he regularly saw, greeted, helped, and even trained under sometimes. What is this? He screamed in terror looking at all the bodies. He recovered from his shock just a few seconds later when he realized something and started running towards his home shouting, "Oh no! Father and mother! Leaf Village!" On the way to Senju residence. Unlike his duck-butt-haired friend who ran off in a hurry to his home after their training, Naruto kept walking towards his home in a relaxed pace. He had his hands folded behind his head as he kept walking all the while gazing at the moon in the sky. Eevee who was walking beside him yipped when Naruto was about to crash into a tree as he was not looking where he was going. Naruto sidestepped the tree when he heard Eevee and turned towards his companion. Eevee yipped again like she asked a question. Yeah, I am getting distracted Eevee, sorry. It's just that I sense this ominous feeling and I can't shake it off from my head. After that he shrugged his shoulders and started walking again. But then he noticed a decent-sized, bright red and yellow-colored bird which was struggling to walk on the ground and it seemed to be injured. Even though he didn't know the name of the bird's species, he decided to help the bird and approached it with Eevee in tow. But then the bird looked like it was scared and tried to fly off. It flew some distance before landing down due to the injury. When it landed, Naruto tried to approach the bird again to help it. The bird kept on repeating the same process and kept on attracting Naruto towards a very certain location. Leaf Village. Uchiha District. Clan head's home. Sasuke shouted desperately clutching his head wishing for the brutal visuals in his head to stop. Stop it. Itachi, why are you showing me all this? Sasuke screamed at the top of his lungs and collapsed on the ground. Why? Pant, why did you? Pant, do all this? Itachi why? Sasuke asked while panting without being able to keep his eyes open. Leaf Village. Leaf Police Force Headquarters. The windows of the Leaf Police Force Headquarters were broken in multiple places with too much blood stains on them. The masked person came out of the Leaf Police Force Headquarters after finishing off all those present inside the building. As soon as he stepped out of the building, 2 shurikens went right through him seemingly not harming him and got stuck in the wall beside him. The masked person turned to look at his attacker and found a 13-year-old female Uchiha with her Sharingan eyes activated and ready to attack him again. Oh. Such fine eyes. The masked man complimented the girl's Sharingan, seemingly not caring about her attack. The girl had long brown hair and was wearing a long-sleeved, high-collared purple shirt with the Uchiha clan symbol on the back, baggy blue pants, a shuriken hostler on her right leg, red armband on her left arm and a long purple fingerless glove that ran nearly the length of her arm. She threw 2 kunai this time towards the masked man, but like the shurikens earlier, the kunai also seemed to phase right through him and got stuck in the wall. No way, the girl mumbled to herself in terror as she saw her weapons phase right through him and not causing him any harm. She turned around and tried to run, in order to retreat for now. The masked person pointed his right hand towards the fleeing girl and from his sleeves a black chain rushed forward and captured the girl, tightly binding her arms to her chest. He then dragged the girl towards himself. The girl was having tears as if she knew that these were her final moments. As she saw the masked person was ready to kill her, she desperately thought, "Help me, Itake. Please help me. Leaf Village. Uchiha District. Oh, don't worry, Sasuke. You're not worth killing." Itake turned around, not facing his brother who is about to fall into unconsciousness, and continued, "If you wish to kill me one day in hate and revenge, survive in such an unsightly manner as this, by all means flee. Cling to your wretched life." Then he took a pause to look at Sasuke with his Sharingan eyes over his shoulder and continued, "And then one day when you possess the same eyes, come back and face me." Those were the words that Sasuke was able to hear, and he thought he saw something else in Itake before succumbing to unconsciousness. Few moments later. Leaf Village. Umbu HQ. "We're moving out," shouted Hiruzen to the assembled Umbu forces, who are divided into two squads. Danzo was also standing along with him on his right side. "Those on my team. To the Leaf Police Force headquarters," instructed Danzo to the squad on his right side. "My team. To the Uchiha District," instructed Hiruzen to the squad on his left side. Leaf Village. Uchiha District. The Umbu squad with Hiruzen arrived too late as the entire Uchiha clan were slaughtered, and all they could do was to get shocked looking at the aftermath of the massacre. "This is horrible. What happened?" These were some of the whispers coming from the shell-shocked Umbus. Hiruzen felt like he failed again and shouted his next orders to his Umbu, "Rescue anyone who still remains alive." Umbu nodded to his orders and scattered to do as they were instructed. Soon a purple-haired female Umbu wearing a mask that resembles a cat with 3 red stripes, 1 vertical stripe on the forehead and 2 horizontal stripes, 1 on each cheek, found Sasuke collapsed unconscious on the streets but still alive. "Lord Third. There's a survivor. Get him to the medical unit ASAP." Hiruzen ordered the purple-haired Umbu. Then he turned to address the other Umbus and commanded, "Search for all of the corpses, I mean every single one. Search the buildings too." Each and every Umbu present there with the Hokage nodded and left to do as they were ordered. Leaf Village. Leaf Police Force HQ. When Danzo and his Umbu team arrived at the Leaf Police Force HQ, there was carnage everywhere and the entire building was filled with corpses of the Uchihas who were slain brutally. Everything was according to his plan and all the corpses present there were recovered. But there was an anomaly in the scene that made him pause. The anomaly that caught his attention was a huge crater with almost 20 feet radius just outside of the building. The crater seemed like it was 6 feet deep. It was an anomaly in this scene according to him because there were no dead bodies in the crater, which seemed to be odd. After few more minutes of thinking, he wrote it off as a collateral damage caused by a wrongly aimed jutsu. He then started walking towards the Uchiha District where Hiruzen is supposed to be. Leaf Village. Uchiha District. "Who do you think could have done something as monstrous as this?" asked the cat-masked Umbu member with short brown hair to the silver-haired fox-masked Umbu member. "Itake Uchiha," answered another voice. Everyone present turned to look at the source of the voice and found Danzo walking in with his stick. Few moments later. Leaf Village Uchiha District. "Lord Third. We have conducted a thorough search for any other survivors. But it seems that no one else made it, apart from one Sasuke Uchiha." The silver-haired fox-masked Umbu reported to Hiruzen after the Umbu team completed searching the district. Danzo smiled internally as his plan to secure the Leaf Village was successful, although with some minor disturbances. His happiness was cut short when suddenly someone else spoke up. "You're wrong. There is another survivor." Everyone turned to look at the source of the new voice and found Naruto supporting an injured Uchiha girl to stand. The girl looked like she had some injuries and was taking heavy breaths, but they are not life-threatening. Naruto had one of her hands slung over his shoulders and was helping her to walk towards the Hokage and his assembled Umbu. Danzo was seething internally cause now he must face headaches due to this girl surviving. "Naruto-kun. What are you doing here?" Hokage questioned in shock that the kid is present in an S-class secretive situation, but then he focused on the injured girl and immediately recognized the girl. "Izumi? What happened? Don't you think that you should give her some medical treatment first before you ask her questions, old man?" Naruto asked irritated. Hiruzen felt like he was being admonished by his Tobirama-sensei all over again and immediately ordered the purple-haired female Umbu, give her the necessary first aid. The purple-haired Umbu nodded and went to help Izumi. Izumi had some scars on her hands, chest, and back where she was attacked by the chains of the masked person. Naruto slowly allowed the female Umbu to take hold of Izumi, so she can get some first aid. Naruto-kun, now that she is getting medical aid. What are you doing here? Hiruzen asked, wanting to know why Naruto was here in the first place. Naruto tried to remember how he got there. Oh yeah. Now I remember. I was on my way back to home and I found this bird who couldn't fly. So, I followed it to help. Some time ago. Before Danzo and his Umbu team arrived at the Leaf Police Force HQ. Help me attack it. Please help me, were the girl's thoughts as she saw the masked person getting ready to snap her neck with his right hand. She closed her eyes, letting her tears drop to the ground. The masked person tried to grab her neck, but suddenly his hand was grabbed by someone else so fast that he didn't have any time to react, and this new attacker threw him in the air holding his right hand so hard that it was crushed. Since he wanted to snap her neck, he had to become tangible, and that was why the attack got connected, and before the masked man can even think of making himself intangible again, a lightning-fast kick came from above him and landed right on top of his back. The force of the kick was so strong that the masked person's mind was clouded with pain, and it was making him lose his concentration needed for the intangibility. In a state of shock and impact caused by the kick, his body was bent facing the ground where the kick connected, causing his hands to fly backwards in midair, which the attacker caught within his own hands, and then he kept his leg connected on top of his back and kept on applying even more pressure, all the while firmly locking his hands as he was rocketing down to his death. The masked man in the last moments of the fall tried desperately to concentrate on becoming intangible again even with his hands locked, but he couldn't help but try to look at his attacker from the corners of his eyes as he was doing so. What he saw made his eyes wide in terror as flashes of a fight that he had in the past kept playing in his mind. That hair. No. It can't be him. Fourth Hokage? With that frantic thought in mind, he was forced to make contact with the ground face first, with his attacker applying pressure onto him, making a huge crater right outside of the Leaf Police Force HQ, blowing up dust into the air. A 20 feet wide crater was formed with 6 feet in depth. Whoever this new attacker was, he purposefully made sure not to apply excessive force, so as to not kill the masked person. He wanted the masked person alive and captured for interrogation later. Izumi, who witnessed the newcomer, could not track the movements of him even with her Sharingan. But she was still in pain cause the chain was wrapped around her chest very tightly, so she was trying to take large gulps of air as the chain disconnected the moment the masked person was attacked. The new attacker was a child no more than 9 years old with bright blonde hair, wearing a silly-looking white dabbing monkey t-shirt and white shorts. After the dust settled, the kid was the only one in the crater, frowning as he couldn't see the masked person under his foot. Who? Pant, R. Pant, you? Pant. The kid turned around to the source of the voice only to find the masked person standing on the edge of the crater. He looked like he would collapse anytime, and his right hand was melting down. How did you escape? The kid asked the masked person, but then he rubbed his chin like he was thinking for a second and thought to himself out loud, my attack was not fast enough. Wait. You're Naruto Senju. The masked man seemed to calm down now and looked like he doesn't even care about his melting right hand. Yup. Nev, now it's your turn. The kid called. The masked man was interrupted before he could finish as his melting right hand was grabbed forcefully by a red fox that came out of nowhere and yanked it from his body with its teeth. As the hand melted away and was detached from his body and chakra network, he could not make that hand pass through things, which the fox capitalized on unknowingly. Okay, Evie. Good girl. Now we have the evidence. He scratched her behind her ears and turned back to look at the masked man and found him gone. Where did he go? Naruto asked no one in particular and then turned towards Izumi, who was still taking large breaths and looking at him in awe. Oh wait. I am Naruto Senju. He said, helping Izumi to stand up on her feet. Once Izumi stood up, she replied, thank you Naruto. Pant, I am Izumi. Evie, get that hand to mom so she can have a look at it. And if that guy shows up again on your way, reverse summon me with our companion summoning seal. Naruto said while supporting Izumi. Evie nodded and ran off to the Senju residence with speed that was not normal for a red fox. After Evie ran off, Naruto focused on to find any nearby shinobi for help and found none, and not even Umbu were present here to do their regular rounds. That's odd. He thought out loud. What do you mean? Pant, Izumi questioned. No leaf shinobi is present in this sector. Naruto replied. But he then decided to leave the topic and decided to take Izumi to the Uchiha district for help. If only he knew what happened in the Uchiha district. Present time. Leaf Village. Uchiha district. And that's how me and her are here. I thought since she lives here someone would help her. But the situation here seems even more tragic. Naruto said remorsefully, looking at all the corpses. Hiruzen could not find out why Naruto is not reacting to the sight of dead bodies like how children his age are supposed to react. But he decided that it was a question for another time and decided to ask something else. So Naruto-kun, you were able to maim the invader and were able to retrieve the evidence of his presence before making him flee. Yeah, I guess. He replied. But then he frowned, but my attacks were not fast enough. I need more training. Naruto thought to himself out loud. What the hell? Izumi couldn't help but shout from her place when Naruto said that before hissing in pain and coughing. After coughing few more times she continued again, your movements were not even trackable with my Sharingan. And you say you were not fast enough. Oh wait. Now that I think about it. That injured bird, where did it go? Naruto thought out loud, seemingly ignoring the outburst of Izumi. Among all this commotion no one observed the sudden disappearance of Danzo from the scene. Leaf Village. Unknown underground base. That Uchiha girl surviving the incident can cause a lot of issues for me. Danzo thought out loud. Lord Danzo. If you want to, we can finish her off within the hospital without anyone noticing. Said Toruin, one of the most loyal subordinates of Danzo. No, Toruin. Before it was only the Uchiha, so we could have just wiped them off. But now the Senju clan heir is involved, and she is under the protection of Senju clan. I don't want us to do any stupid mistakes and draw on the wrath of the Slug Princess, the Hokage, the Fire Feudal Lord, and especially him. Him? Asked Fu, another loyal subordinate of Lord Danzo. Naruto Senju. Danzo replied. Even if he couldn't capture whoever it is that he claims to have fought with, that kind of speed and strength are something that needs an observation. He thought out loud. Then Danzo turned to face Fu and Torin and ordered them, from now on keep an eye on Naruto Senju. See if he poses any threat to the Leaf Village, but make sure you do it from a safe distance, cause the rumor is that he is a very talented sensor who could surpass Tobirama Sensei one day. So, don't let yourselves to be sensed by him. As you wish, Lord Danzo. Both Fu and Torin replied as one and left to do as they were told. Border of the Land of Fire. Itaki had just crossed the borders of the Land of Fire and was waiting at the supposed rendezvous point for the masked man. Soon a swirling portal opened up before him and the masked person stepped out from the portal. In Itaka's opinion, the masked man looked like he had seen better days and he was missing hand too. What happened? Itaka couldn't help but ask. Caught off guard, that's all. Was the reply Itaka got in return. Itaka just rose an eyebrow and decided to leave it and asked. I'm not sure you have told me what to call you yet. Oh, forgive me. Where are my manners? The masked person said with a mock bow and continued, for now you can call me Toby. 3 days after the inevitable night. Leaf Village. TI room. What do you remember about the events that happened on the night when the entire Uchiha clan was massacred apart from just 2 people? Questioned Ibiki Marino. I heard the screams for help coming from the Leaf Police Force HQ. So, I went there to investigate and found the possible culprit of the crime and tried to eliminate him. Izumi answered truthfully. And? Ibiki probed. He was unaffected by all of my attacks and almost killed me until Naruto Senju intervened and made him flee. Izumi responded. Do you know why only the Uchiha clan was targeted and why the Uchiha clan members kept on taking less and less missions outside the village from the last few months? Ibiki asked his next question. He had this question in his mind cause as a top-class interrogator of the Leaf Village, he catches on to things that are invisible for the others. He started digging as soon as he was given the duty to investigate this case and found that Uchiha clan members had started refusing missions outside the village from the last few months before the massacre. Also, those Uchiha clan members who were outside the village on missions, have completed their missions sooner than expected and came back to the village. For Ibiki, it felt like the Uchiha clan was preparing for something, but for what he does not know. I don't know. Izumi replied. You don't know? Ibiki asked. I was never allowed into the clan meetings cause almost all the members of the clan don't view me as an Uchiha. Izumi said with a sigh. Why? Ibiki questioned in return. My mother was an Uchiha, but she fell in love with someone outside the clan and married him. Members of the Uchiha clan didn't find her choice as worthy of the Uchiha and she was evicted from her home located in the Uchiha clan district. Izumi explained. I'm sorry for asking again. But you were living within the Uchiha clan district even before you started going to the ninja academy, right? Ibiki asked. Yes. Izumi said. If they expelled your mother from her property, then why did they take you back in? Ibiki probed. Because I had awakened my Sharingan. Absolute silence. As far as Ibiki knew, Shisui was by far the youngest to awaken his Sharingan, and then second was Itaki, who awakened his Sharingan at the age of 8 after becoming a genin. But to learn that Izumi had awakened her Sharingan even before Itaki was a shocker for him. You awakened your Sharingan before joining the ninja academy? Ibiki asked, genuinely surprised. Yes. I witnessed my father and mother sacrifice themselves to save me and many others during the Nine Tails attack. Uchiha clan then took me in as a clan member. I originally thought that they wanted to take care of me since I lost both of my parents. Ibiki caught on to what she meant by that and asked, so, isn't that the reason why they took you in then? No. They took me in because they were the first to find out that I had awoken my Sharingan as early as Shisui Uchiha and thought that I could also become a genius like him. She took a pause to release a tired sigh and then continued again. They wanted a possible future genius like me to be under the name of the Uchiha clan only. That's why they took me in and suppressed all the information about me awakening my Sharingan early to cover up their real agenda behind suddenly taking me in after a long time from my mother's banishment from the clan district. She then chuckled to herself and said, it almost makes me laugh at remembering how naive I used to be back then when I was still a child to think that I still had people to take care of me. If they had took you into the clan as an Uchiha with whatever motive they had, why were you not allowed to the clan meetings then? Ibiki questioned. This was all new information to him. The longer he kept digging into the case of the Uchiha massacre, the deeper the rabbit hole keeps getting. I was an Uchiha, only in name for them. I was always treated like an outsider by almost all of them. Almost. There were a few exceptions like Shisui and Itaki, who treated me like one of their own. It was actually Shisui that revealed to me about the true intention of the clan behind accepting me as an Uchiha. He informed me about this just a few days before committing suicide. Izumi replied. Ibiki nodded and said, so you were never allowed into the Uchiha clan meetings and don't know anything about why only the Uchiha clan was targeted and why the Uchiha clan members were refusing to take missions outside the village. Yes. Was Izumi's reply. Ibiki nodded and turned to Inoichi Yamanaka, who had his right hand resting on top of Izumi's head the entire time to make sure whether she is telling the truth or not. She's telling the truth. Inoichi confirmed her truthfulness and removed his hand. Ibiki and Izumi were seated facing each other with a medium-sized table separating them, whereas Inoichi was standing near Izumi. The entire conversation was being monitored by the Hokage, Shinobi Council, which includes Tsunade and the village elders from the council room. The Shinobi Council were called upon today and were informed just before the commencement of this process that there was another person involved in the massacre and that Naruto had fought him. Ibiki nodded after hearing Inoichi's response and turned towards Izumi. I am sorry that you had to go through this process, Izumi. But it's the only way to find out what actually happened on that night and why Taki and some other unknown person had massacred the entire Uchiha clan. I understand, Ibiki-san. Izumi replied. Before I release you from this room, you must remember that all the persons who have witnessed that night, involved in that night, fought in that night or even survived that night must keep it a secret that Naruto Senju had fought the unknown invader and made him flee. If this information gets leaked into the population, then it will pose a major threat to Naruto Senju. That's why Hokage-sama had classified any and all information regarding the unknown masked invader and his fight with Naruto Senju as an S-class village secret until the whereabouts of the masked invader are known. If anyone asks how you have survived the massacre, then you should say that you were attacked by Itaki Uchiha and you were left there in a pool of your own blood after your battle because Itaki thought that you died already, and in the aftermath when the Umbu arrived at the location, they have found you to be still alive and rescued you like how they have rescued Sasuke Uchiha. Is that clear? Yes. Izumi replied because she was already briefed about how Take massacred many Uchiha clan members and she understood that it should be kept secret until the truths of the night and the real reason why Take turned into a killer are found. Ibiki nodded and stood up from his seat. Both him and Inoichi left the room, leaving the door open for Izumi to leave after them. After few seconds, Izumi also stood up and exited the room to go back to the council room to finish this process. Few moments later. Leaf Village. Council room. Hokage-sama. Izumi Uchiha is awaiting your permission to enter the council room. Came the voice of Hiruzen's assistant through the intercom. Hiruzen pressed a button on intercom and replied, "Please send her in." A few seconds later Izumi entered the council room. Hiruzen gave a fatherly smile to her and said, "How are you feeling now, Izumi?" "I feel fine now, Hokage-sama. But it might take a day or two for me to get back into active duty." Izumi replied. "Take as much time as you want," Hiruzen said, to which Izumi nodded. "I am sure Ibiki already told you about keeping it a secret," Hiruzen said, to which Izumi nodded. He then turned towards the assembled shinobi council and said, "As all of you have already heard Ibiki explaining it to Izumi to keep it classified as an S-class secret, you all are also required to keep it classified. You are also to say the same thing that was told to Izumi if anyone asks you how she survived. You are to keep it as an absolute secret even from your own kids. Is that clear?" To which the council members nodded, agreeing. Hiruzen then turned towards Tsunade and asked, "Has Naruto been informed to keep this as a secret?" "Yes. He had promised to keep it classified," Tsunade assured. "All right. Any information on the severed hand of the invader?" questioned Hiruzen. "I still need to conduct some more thorough research on it before I can submit the report," Tsunade said, to which Hiruzen nodded, agreeing. He then turned to Izumi and said, "Now that the process is over, where do you want to live from now on, Izumi? Would you want to use your mother's home in the Uchiha clan district, or would you like to apply for an apartment in the shinobi quarters instead?" "My mother's home in Uchiha clan district makes me think about all those days that I was looked upon as an outsider," Izumi said with a small crack in her voice. "I understand, Izumi. I will complete the paperwork for your APA." Hiruzen couldn't finish as he was interrupted by Tsunade, who said, "Actually, I have a proposal for Izumi." "Tsunade?" Hiruzen questioned. "I want to take her under my wing if she agrees to it, and she can live in the Senju residence with us." That statement caused some murmurs among the assembled people. "With all due to respect, Tsunade-sama. Can I ask why?" Izumi asked with a respectful tone. "I have seen your potential in," Tsunade started to say, but as soon as Izumi heard the word potential, she interrupted Tsunade by saying, "I'm sorry, Tsunade-sama. I don't wish to become a part of your clan just because you see a potential future Sharingan genius in me. I have already been through this once." Izumi thought that Tsunade is also trying to get a possible future Sharingan genius under Senju clan because she had most probably found out that Izumi had awakened her Sharingan earlier than Itake. "Who said anything about you joining the Senju clan?" Tsunade questioned without any emotion. Was Izumi's intelligent reply. "I said I will take you under my wing only to train you and that you can live in the Senju residence. I didn't say anything about you joining the Senju clan," Tsunade replied with a straight face. Izumi felt embarrassed that she misinterpreted the female Sunin's words, but she couldn't help but ask, "Then what did you mean by saying that you have seen my potential? Why is it that everyone among the Uchiha clan always feel like they are being talked about only because of their Sharingan prowess?" Tsunade muttered out loud, which made Izumi to feel even more embarrassed. Then Tsunade just released a sigh and continued, "Anyway. As I was saying earlier before you decided to interrupt me, I have seen your potential in becoming a combat medic when I was going through your records from the academy. You have near-precise chakra control. So, I wanted to take you under my wing to train you as a combat medic." It was Izumi's childhood dream to become a combat medic when she saw many people dying after the Nine Tails attack due to lack of professional medic help. But she had to leave behind that dream when she joined the Uchiha clan, because she does not want to look even more of an outsider to the clan members who always looked down on the people who wanted to become medics instead of war veterans in clan. But before Izumi can answer, Tsunade said again, "But since you consider my training as joining the Senju clan, never mind." No. 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 Lady Tsunade, wait, I didn't mean that. Of course, I want to get training under a legendary Sunin like you as a combat medic. Please forgive me for drawing baseless conclusions before you could even complete saying what you actually wanted to say. Izumi said in a hurry without missing a beat and bowed her head respectfully to show how apologetic she was feeling for her own childishness. So, would you like to train under my wing or not? Tsunade questioned again just to confirm. Yes, Lady Tsunade. Izumi replied without a second thought. Alright then. Izumi Uchiha from now on will be living in the Senju residence to get trained in the ways of a combat medic. Said Hiruzen and was about to write Izumi's full name on a document to transfer her responsibility to Tsunade as her guardian. Hokage-sama, I would like to request you to cut off the title Uchiha from my name from now on. Izumi requested, which caused murmurs again. She wants to leave behind the Uchiha clan name. Why would she want to do something like that? Those were some of the murmurs among the people. Why do you want to remove your clan name? Hiruzen asked, genuinely surprised. Before I was an Uchiha, only in name. I was surrounded by many, but still I was all alone. So, there's no need for me to keep on lying to myself anymore that people will acknowledge me only if I was called as Izumi Uchiha. I just want to live my life truthfully like Izumi from now on. It took a few moments for the people before her to understand what she meant, but then each and every one present there realized what the girl had experienced all her life after joining the Uchiha clan. Finally, Hiruzen nodded with a fatherly smile and said, I understand. He then took a small pause to complete writing in 2 documents and stamped them with the Hokage seal, and then he continued, Izumi from now on will be living in the Senju residence to get trained in the ways of a combat medic under the care of Tsunade Senju. Izumi accepted the copy of the document that Hiruzen gave her. Hiruzen then gave the other copy to Tsunade and turned towards Izumi again. You can take the help of a genin squad to help you with the furniture shifting. Just consult the mission desk and the mission pay will be paid by the Shinobi Council. Izumi nodded, accepting the offer, and questioned, is that all, Hokage-sama? Yes, you can go, Izumi. Hiruzen replied. After Izumi had left the council room, well, that's a lot of new information about the Uchihas to digest. Such a drag. Muttered Shikaku Nara. Anyway. Since the matters concerning Izumi have been dealt with, what does the medical reports say about the other survivor? Hiruzen asked Inoichi, who had been monitoring the psychological welfare of the other survivor of the Uchiha massacre. Sasuke Uchiha does not have any physical injuries, as Lady Tsunade had already confirmed before he was sent to me for his psychological analysis for any kind of mental trauma that he may have suffered. Inoichi said and took a pause to gather his thoughts. I think from the current state of his mind, it is most likely that he will try to become distant from his peers to solely concentrate on his revenge. So, it would be best if he be registered for regular checkup sessions for his own welfare. Alright, he will take sessions with the Yamanaka experts in fixed regular time intervals until his mental state is stable. Hiruzen agreed with Inoichi and signed another document which says the same and stamped it with the Hokage seal and handed it to Inoichi, who accepted the document. If that's all, let's conclude this meeting. Hiruzen said, and with that the council meeting was over. Leaf Village. Market area. Naruto was casually strolling through the market area with his hands folded behind his head along with Eevee, as it was day off for the Ninja Academy. Suddenly a very good smell hit his nose and he immediately stopped and turned to look in the direction from where the nice smell was coming. Did you smell it, Eevee? He asked his companion, to which Eevee yipped, agreeing that she also smelt it. Let's go. Naruto shouted excitedly and ran in that direction with Eevee not far behind him. Few meters away. Do you really think our shop will do well in Leaf Village, father? A 13-year-old girl questioned her father from inside the kitchen of their newly opened shop while stirring the soup needed for ramen. She had long dark brown hair and large black eyes with fair skin. She was wearing a white robe with folded sleeves, a dark blue apron and a white bandana on her head. Yes, Ayam. I think our business will run just fine. We just need to be a little patient until we can get adjusted here, replied the now identified Ayam's father, who was outside the shop setting up the name board of their newly opened shop. He was wearing a white robe with a chef's hat on his head. He always shows a pleasant expression on his face. He had a nameplate attached to his robe on the left side of his chest which reads, Tuki Ichiraku. Tuki was finally done with setting up the name board which reads, Ichiraku Ramen, on top of their shop. He then went inside to start working. Just as Tuki went inside the kitchen, the flaps of the shop made sounds alerting them to a possible first customer. Ayam came outside the kitchen to take order and noticed a 9-year-old blonde boy who was looking all around the shop in awe, and with him was a cute-looking red fox which also seemed like it was looking all around in curiosity. Welcome to Ichiraku Ramen. Mr. Ayam asked politely, trying to know his name. Naruto. Naruto replied. Okay Naruto, what would you like to order? Ayam asked while taking out a notepad and a pen to write down. I don't know. But bring whatever is best in your shop for me and Eevee here, miss. Naruto asked. It's Ayam. Replied Ayam with a smile and took a small pause to note down what he said, and then she turned to Naruto and continued again, alright Naruto, have a seat until your order is ready. Naruto nodded excitingly and took the nearest stool and got comfortable in his seat with Eevee sitting on its hind legs near him. 2 bowls of miso ramen. Ayam said aloud for her father to hear. Alright. Coming up. Tuka shouted back in reply. Leaf Village. Senja Residence. Achoo. Tsunade suddenly sneezed as she was going through the notes that she wrote while doing the earlier research on the severed hand of the invader. Her and Shizun were sitting in the living room of their home. Bless you. Shizun said off-mindedly as she was also going through some other research notes. Oink. Oink. Tauntaun also responded from her place on the lap of Shizun. Shizun. Tsunade called. Yes, Lady Tsunade. Why do I feel like a large portion of our fortune will be spent by Naruto on his eating habits from now on? Tsunade asked with a confused and scared expression on her face. Oink, were Shizun's and Tauntaun's intelligent replies respectively to Tsunade's question. Ichiraku Ramen Shop. 40 bowls later. Sweet. Finally, I found the food of the gods. Naruto muttered out loud after getting satisfied with the 40 bowls of ramen he just had. Eevee also yipped, agreeing with him from below, and there were 6 empty bowls in front of Eevee. Tuki and Ayam were left speechless with their jaws dropping in surprise after witnessing a kid just emptying their whole stock of supplies for today. It felt delicious. Thank you Ayam and Tuka-san. How much is the bill? Ayam recovered from her shock and checked her notepad once and responded, that would be 500 ryo Naruto. Okay. Naruto stood up from his seat and opened his toad wallet. He took out 1000 ryo from it and handed that to Ayam. When Naruto was about to leave, Ayam called out to him, wait Naruto, these are 1000 ryo, the bill is only 500 ryo. I know. The rest is for your hospitality. See ya Ayam and Tuka-san. Having said that, him and Eevee were out of the shop. After the blonde had left, Tuki opened and closed his mouth 3 times trying to come up with something to say, but he couldn't. While Ayam just kept on looking in the direction that Naruto went. Finally, after few seconds, Ayam turned to her father with a smile. Father, I guess you were right. Our business will be booming here. For now, let's close the shop as we ran out of supplies. Tuki also smiled and shook his head, I guess you're right. But maybe we should purchase 5 times more supplies than today for tomorrow. It had been 3 years since the Uchiha massacre and nothing noteworthy happened during this period. Even the Nine-Tails beast didn't even try to contact the blonde boy anymore after getting thrashed onto the seal cage. Sasuke had decided to become distant from his peers as suspected by Inoichi. Now he stays mostly silent in the classes and talks to Naruto only with short discussions and not the others from the Rookie 9 gang. Naruto was wearing another pair of white dabbing monkey t-shirt white shorts which are perfect for his present height, and they were given to him by Hiruzen on his recent 12th birthday as a gift. The shinobi lessons being taught in the Ninja Academy have started boring Naruto to no end, and today the blonde happens to be sitting in another boring lecture being given by Mizuki-sensei. So, class, can anyone explain what the word shinobi means? Mizuki asked the assembled class after his lecture. Many hands shot up among the class students wanting to answer the question. Mizuki pointed to Kiba and said, yes Kiba. Allowing Kiba to explain. Kiba had his companion Akamaru resting on top of his head, whom he got just recently. Kiba jumped up from his seat and stood on the table. Shinobi is someone who is a badass. Then he paused to give a double thumbs up pointing to himself and continued, like me, to which Akamaru barked agreeing with Kiba. Great confidence. But no Kiba. Mizuki said, shaking his head, and pointed to Ino giving her a chance to explain. Ino stood up haughtily and said, Shinobi is someone who is invisible to the eye and invincible to the enemy. Somewhat close, but still not correct. Mizuki said and pointed to Sakura and said, yes Sakura. Allowing the pink-haired girl to explain. Sakura stood up with confidence and said, Shinobi or ninja is a word used to refer a person who uses either the physical prowess or the mental prowess along with or without the use of chakra to achieve something that is either too difficult or impossible for the normal people to achieve. If that particular person happens to be a female, then she can be called a kunoichi too. Sakura repeated the textbook meaning of the term shinobi without missing a beat. Well, that's exactly correct. Good job, Sakura. Mizuki appreciated her along with nod and motioned for all the three kids to sit down. Once the kids had settled down, Mizuki addressed the class again. Well, what Sakura said is exactly true. But being a shinobi also means being a hero to the vil. Mizuki stopped mid-sentence when he heard a yawn. Yawn. Naruto couldn't help but yawn as he just woke up and he immediately apologized for yawning. Oh, I'm sorry, sensei. Please carry on. Evie was also sleeping near him. As soon as he heard Naruto interrupting him with his yawn, the anger within Mizuki started boiling against the blonde kid. But he covered it very well and asked the blonde, "You don't agree with the definition of being a shinobi, Naruto?" Evie also woke up when she heard Mizuki's question. No. It's not like that, sense. Naruto was interrupted by Mizuki, who said, "Class, today Naruto Senja will explain what it means to be a shinobi." He made sure to put emphasis on the name and then approached Naruto and handed him the chalk that he was holding till now. "Go on, explain, Naruto." And motioned the blonde kid to go up to the blackboard. Naruto felt a little bit embarrassed at being pointed out like this, but Mizuki insisted, "Go on, Naruto, explain what you think it means." Mizuki felt really satisfied at the chance to put the blonde kid down. Then he nudged the blonde kid forward gently. Naruto approached the blackboard and stood in somewhat awkward silence for a few seconds. "We don't have all day, Naruto." Mizuki insisted again, fully enjoying this moment. "Well." Naruto started awkwardly, but he heard Evie yipping in encouragement for him to go on. He then took a deep breath and remembered his great-grandfather Hashirama's and great-grand-uncle Tobirama's journals that he read. Naruto turned towards the board and wrote shinobi on it and turned back to face the class again and said, "Being a shinobi doesn't mean being a badass, being invincible, being greater than normal people, or being a hero." He said, referring to the explanations given by Kiba, Ino, Sakura, and Mizuki, and took a small pause to gather his thoughts and continued again. Being a shinobi means being ready to shoulder the burden of hatred so that the others can share love, being able to be involved in conflicts so that the others can live in harmony, and being able to live in the darkness so that the others can live in the light. He took another pause to look at the class and found everyone listening to him intensively. He closed his eyes and the flashes of what happened to Evie 7 years ago kept on going through his mind. He remembered how he found Evie in a critical life-death situation when he returned from the Sand Village and what he did in retaliation after seeing his companion in such a position. He then opened his eyes and continued, "Finally, being a shinobi means being ready to give your life or take someone else's life, if it means saving 1,000 more lives." The class erupted into an uproar after hearing the last sentence. But surprisingly, Mizuki stayed quiet. "What do you mean by giving your life? What do you mean by taking someone else's life? That's a lie. Being a shinobi means using flashy jutsus. You're lying." These were some of the loudest shouts from among the class students. "It's the truth." Entire class turned towards the source of the voice and found Irika standing at the door. Among the confusion and shouts, no one noticed that Mizuki's class time was over and Irika came as it was his class time now, but was waiting patiently just outside the door until now as he heard the topic at discussion. "Irika-sensei?" Sakura questioned to make sure what she heard is right or not. "Yes, what Naruto said is the bitter truth about shinobi that no one wants to hear or wants to say to innocent children like you," Irika said, addressing the children, and took a pause to release a resigned sigh and continued again. "In a month all of you will take the graduation exam and those who pass it will become genins. As a shinobi you may be required to sabotage, infiltrate, assassinate, and even murder others. The Ninja Academy only teaches the children about how to become a shinobi, but it is the job of your future Jounin sensei, who will be assigned to you if you become a genin, to explain you and make you understand the horrors of being a shinobi." He made sure to put emphasis on the words, "become a shinobi," and "being a shinobi." The entire class fell into silence as the children were reflecting on what Naruto said and what Irika-sensei just confirmed. As the reality check was given to them before the graduation exams, some children were having doubts whether to become a shinobi or not. The silence was eventually broken by Naruto, who said, "So, as you can understand, Mizuki-sensei." He took a pause to gather his thoughts and said, "Being a shinobi doesn't mean being a hero, it's a responsibility." Mizuki, who was at a loss of words, was seething inside at the blonde kid who dared to mock him by showing off. But on the outside, he just smiled and agreed with a nod. That gesture from their senseis solidified the hesitation in some of the children who were having doubts whether to become a ninja for real or not. That evening, Ninja Academy. Empty classroom. That Ninetales kid has the guts to mock me like that in front of everyone. Mizuki slowly muttered to himself in frustration. He was sitting behind his desk in the classroom, resting his chin on top of his hands with his fingers laced. Then he seemingly calmed down after a few moments and muttered again, "But I don't have to mind him anymore. It's time to put my plan in action in the coming month after the graduation exam, while everyone will be busy with the task of assigning the fresh genins to jounins." Then darkness started surrounding him, which concealed him from the view just as he started to laugh like a maniac. A month had passed since Naruto explained the real meaning of being a shinobi to his peers. Many children who were uncertain had quit from the Ninja Academy and joined regular schools to avoid the horrors of the shinobi life that Naruto had explained. Only few children have decided to become the shinobi. At present Naruto and Eevee were enjoying their ramen meal at Ichiraku Ramen Shop. He decided to stop by the shop to have a meal before going to the Ninja Academy for his graduation exam. Sweet. Naruto muttered, finishing his last bowl. Eevee had already finished her meal a few minutes ago and was waiting for Naruto to complete his. "Well, Naruto-kun, would you like the bill to be put on your tab?" Ayam asked once she completed checking her notepad. "Yup, Ayam-chan. Put it on my tab," Naruto replied, standing up from his table. Naruto and his family have become regular customers for the shop and frequented there whenever they wanted to eat outside. Naruto also took his friends there to eat whenever the gang felt like eating outside. Ichiraku Ramen Shop had gained tremendous popularity as soon as the word had spread throughout the village that Senju clan and many other clan heirs started eating at the shop. Ichiraku Ramen was booming with profits in their business, and now they are second only to the Akimichi clan's barbecue restaurant in Leaf Village, which is well known for their specialized food for shinobis and civilians. Tuki and Ayam believed that Naruto is their lucky charm and offered monthly payment procedure for his and his friends' families. On the first date of every month, parents of Naruto and his friends would clear their children's bills at the ramen shop, making sure to thank Tuki and Ayam for their hospitality towards their children every time. "Alright, Naruto-kun," replied Ayam with a smile, adding the bill on Naruto's tab. "See ya," Naruto said and turned around to leave for the Ninja Academy. "All the best for your graduation exam, Naruto-kun. Show them what you got," Ayam wished Naruto. Naruto turned around and said excitingly, "I will, Ayam-chan." "Believe it," he shouted the last two words while giving a double thumbs up, and Eevee also yipped in agreement, which made Ayam to giggle, and then both Naruto and Eevee left the shop. On a rooftop, 500 meters away from Ichiraku Ramen Shop. He seems to be in love with ramen, thought Torin as he was observing Naruto leaving the shop and walking along with his companion towards the Ninja Academy. When Naruto had gone far away and can't be noticed by his naked eye, he reached out for his hip pouch to take out his monocular to keep on observing the blonde boy from distance. When he couldn't find his hip pouch, he looked at his hip and found his hip pouch gone. "Is this what you're looking for?" Torin suddenly raised his head to look at the source of the voice and found Naruto standing in front of him. The blonde boy was holding Torin's hip pouch with his right hand in such a way that the pouch is hanging in display in front of Torin. Torin realized the danger and turned around to flee. But as soon as he turned around, he came face to face with Eevee this time. Eevee was almost equal to the size of an adult wolf now. No one really knows how a red fox can grow to the size of a wolf. Eevee was having an innocent expression, but to Torin it felt even more intimidating. "So, tell me, weird guy." Naruto addressed Torin and took a pause to look at Torin and then his hip pouch and then Torin again and continued, "Why were you and the other guy following me from the last 3 years?" Torin realized that the blonde boy was asking about Fu and questioned, "You knew we have been following you all this time. Isn't that what I just said?" Naruto asked rhetorically. Torin didn't say anything but narrowed his eyes. "So? Why were you both following me?" Naruto questioned again. "That's odd," Torin muttered out loud. "Huh? What are you talking about?" was Naruto's intelligent reply. "My Rinkaichu are refusing my command to cause harm to you," Torin said. "I have heard about Kikaichu from my friend Shino, but what is this Rinkaichu you're talking about?" Naruto asked, looking like he was being genuinely curious. "They are a special kind of insects, and they are getting scared of you," Torin replied, still not getting bothered that he is surrounded, and continued, "It's as if they have spotted an apex predator that preys on them. Well, all I do know is that bugs always get eaten by birds." Naruto muttered out loud and then took a small pause to scratch his chin like he was in deep thought and then continued, maybe they see me as a golden eagle, said the blonde boy sarcastically, but when he saw the blank look on the weird guy's face he tried to explain, you know. That giant apex predator of the sky. When Torin heard the explanation given by the blonde boy, he too nodded his head, agreeing to the logic in it. His Rinkaicha might have recognized the blonde boy as an apex predator on the level of a golden eagle, and they were afraid of the boy because they don't want to become prey for an apex predator. But the million-dollar question going through Torin's mind was, why did my bugs recognize this boy as an apex predator? When the weird guy became silent for few moments, Naruto got bored and handed the hip pouch back to Torin and said, I didn't attack you both weirdos cause you weren't particularly doing anything harmful against me, my family or friends. Then the blonde sighed and continued, but getting spied on by two weirdos in alternating shifts from the last 3 years is frankly annoying. So, I would suggest you both weirdos to stop following me and inform your boss weirdo to mind his own business. See ya. With that Naruto gave a two-fingered salute and left along with Eevee. Torin had a lot in his mind to think about now. In the documented history of the Abarame clan, never had it been written that Rinkaicha were ever afraid of anything or anyone. This peculiar thing needs personal investigation from Torin himself. Few minutes later. The Ninja Academy. All the students who were still in the Ninja Academy have already took their theoretical exams and have passed. Everyone's result was above average level in theory exams including Kiba and Shikamaru. Well class, I must say that I feel honored to have taught you all. Iruka addressed the students who are assembled before him and took a pause until Mizuki came into the room with the Leaf Village headbands and then continued again, now it's time for your graduation exam. One by one you all will come into that room to stand before me and Mizuki-sensei and prove to us that you have what it takes to be a shinobi. We will, Iruka-sensei. Came the shout of Kiba. Alright then, let's start the exam, said Mizuki, and along with Iruka left towards the room that Iruka mentioned earlier. After that, one by one students started going inside the room. Most of them came back empty-handed, sad and angry, and some of them came back with a leaf headband and a happy face. Hinata, Kiba, Koji, Shikamaru, Shino, Ino, and even Sakura was among those who earned a headband. Finally only Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Senja were left. Sasuke Uchiha. Come in please. Came the voice of Iruka from inside the room. Good luck team. Naruto wished. HNN. Was the duck-butt-haired kid's response. Ever since his clan was massacred he is increasing his distance from everyone day by day. Sure enough, after 5 minutes Sasuke Uchiha came back with a headband and left for his home without saying anything. Naruto Senja. Come in please. Came the voice of Mizuki. As always Naruto sensed the maliciousness in the voice, but he ignored it like he always did. Inside the room. Well Naruto. To pass the exams you would need to perform 3 basic jutsus perfectly. Replacement jutsu, transformation jutsu, and clone jutsu. Iruka explained the rules. Naruto nodded to Iruka, agreeing to the condition. Well then Naruto. You can start with the replacement jut. Mizuki started to say, but he suddenly found himself standing in the place where the blonde boy was standing earlier. He blinked a few times and found the blonde boy sitting in his place behind the desk beside Iruka. And judging from the look on Iruka's face, even he was shocked. That's a perfect execution of the replacement jutsu with a human involved and not any inanimate objects. Iruka fumbled at first in surprise but recovered quickly. Cool. So, what's next sensei? Shouted Naruto, jumping up from his position to allow Mizuki to take his position behind the desk. Next would be transformation jutsu. Iruka said. Alright sensei. And then without any hand signs Naruto turned himself into the 4th Hokage. He only saw his father in the pictures that Tsunade gave him, but the execution of the jutsu was precise even though he looks just like his father, always without the use of any transformation jutsu. Good job Naruto. Now it's time for clone jutsu to finish the test. Mizuki said. Even though he was smiling on the outside, on the inside he was laughing like maniac. He knew that those with massive chakra reserves tend to mess up with simple clone jutsu. Once Naruto messes up the clone jutsu, he will fail and then he can enact his plan involving Naruto. But his daydreaming was forcefully destroyed when Naruto said, Mizuki-sensei, I myself am a clone. Crickets could be heard chirping in the background with the silence that prevailed after what the blonde boy said. What? Was Iruka's response. See. Said the blonde boy and dispelled into a puff of smoke. A shadow clone. Was the thought rampaging in the minds of both the senseis. Before they can recover from their shock, the real Naruto entered the room with Eevee beside him. "So how did my clone do, sensei?" He dispelled before hearing the result, "So I don't know whether I passed or not." Naruto asked innocently, and Eevee also tilted her head cutely sideways with puppy eyes. All right. Stop with the drama, Naruto," said Iruka as he was the first to recover, and continued, "You pass. I'm proud of you," he said with a genuine smile, and then handed the leaf headband to Naruto. Naruto accepted it and was about to leave, but Mizuki, who just recovered from his shock, questioned, "How do you know about a high-class forbidden clone jutsu, Naruto?" "My mom and my godfather were legendary Sunnins, and my surrogate grandfather is the present holder of the title the God of Shinobi," Naruto said, referring to Tsunade, Jiraiya and Hiruzen like that was all the explanation needed, and left. "Well, now I'm sure that we have a clear winner for the Rookie of the Year title," Iruka muttered out loud with a smile. But Mizuki had something else going on in his mind. "Now that he passed, my plan A involving him is doomed. I must start working on plan B." That evening, Ichiraku Ramen. After the entire gang had passed, they planned for a celebration and gathered at the Ichiraku Ramen. The duck-butt-haired kid decided to not come, and Sakura also decided to not come, saying that she wanted to spend her time with her Sasuke-kun. Tuki and Ayam were busy making the orders for the fresh genins. "Well, now that we're all genins, I don't think we will have any free time to spend as a gang like this," Kiba was the one who pointed out. "Huh," was Naruto's intelligent reply. "Kiba's right. Now we'll be divided into teams and we'll be given a Jounin sensei for each team, and we won't have enough free time to spend like this once we start going on missions," Shino said while adjusting his sunglasses. "I don't want to sound like I'm sad, but that's what I'm thinking too." Surprisingly, it was Ino who said that in a discouraged voice. She was always the mouthpiece of the entire gang, and to hear her in that state of voice was a first for everyone. "Yeah. It will be drag now that we're genins. I miss my Cloud watching and our time together as a gang." Guess who said this? Well, we can still gather at Ichiraku Ramen or my family barbecue restaurant whenever we have time on the weekends. Koji suggested, munching some potato chips. "Also, we can hang out in my clan's garden too and enjoy some tea and snacks," Hinata said. She came a long way and stopped stuttering a while ago when she became friends with the gang. Naruto just processed what they were saying and was silent for a few moments. He only broke his silence when Eevee nudged him with her tail and said, "We all were only friends till yesterday, but from today onwards we are friends, comrades, and shinobi of the Leaf Village too. So, let's do our duty and enjoy our spare time as a gang whenever we have time. Your orders are here," came the shout of Tuka, which broke the sadness of the kids and made them excited. And the evening went on with these kids enjoying their time before getting ready to join the real world. That night, on the way to the Senju clan house, the fresh genin gang had made a promise that they will meet at least once per month if possible as a gang, and left for their own homes. Currently Naruto was walking towards his home looking at the sky with his hands behind his head, and Eevee was walking alongside him. "Eevee, I feel that something is going on, but I don't know what." Eevee just tilted her head, not knowing what the blonde was saying. Suddenly a blast took place in the deserted Uchiha clan district. Each and every shinobi who was available in the village rushed to that location, as tension among the populace was still there due to the Uchiha massacre. Naruto was about to storm towards that place too, but then he sensed something else. "Eevee, get someone of higher authority level and then find me." With that he blurred out of there. The woods that lead to the border of the Leaf Village. Mizuki was running fast with the stolen forbidden scroll on his back. His plan B worked smoothly. All he had to do was to create a blast in a deserted but heavy panic-creating area, and while everyone was busy investigating it, he could steal the scroll and escape the village. Since he created a blast in the Uchiha clan district, the Hokage himself went there to investigate, and hence no one was there to protect the scroll. What a bunch of idiots. And now no one can stow. He had to stop mid-sentence to avoid the hail of shuriken coming his way from the right side. When he turned around he saw Iruka standing there with a kunao ready to attack him. "Mizuki, what are you doing? Can't you see, Iruka, I'm betraying the village?" He then took a pause to laugh like maniac and dragged his right palm from his forehead to chin and continued, "But before that I have to kill you." And then he summoned a giant shuriken and threw that at Iruka. Iruka moved away by jumping up, but Mizuki used the string attached to the shuriken and changed its trajectory towards Iruka. Iruka was in midair and could not avoid it, he was ready to take the hit and closed his eyes. But the hit never came, instead he heard a loud bang and metal getting destroyed. Soon he touched the ground and opened his eyes and found the silhouette of someone in the dust created by the crater right before him. The color of the hair was the first thing Iruka noticed when the dust started dissipating slowly. "Naruto?" Iruka said in surprise. "Ah. The demon himself," Mizuki said. "Now I understand about all the maliciousness that I have been sensing all these years from you," Naruto said as a statement. "The Nine-Tails brat. Do you want to know something?" Mizuki said, but Naruto didn't react as he already knew about the Nine-Tails within him. "What would that be?" Naruto asked. "No matter how good you pretend to be, everyone in the village knows that you are the reincarnation of the Nine-Tails." That sentence made Naruto falter. "Huh. Yes. There will come a time when the influence of the Nine-Tails will be too much to handle and you'll eventually become the beast that is inside you. To put it simply, you're a time bomb and sooner or later it will blow up. Once that happens, you would not differentiate between enemies, family, and friends. You will kill everyone in your path and you will enjoy it, just like the beast you are." "No way!" Naruto shouted in despair. Within the darkness of the 8 trigrams seal, the huge eye of the nine-tailed fox opened as soon as it sensed that the mental defenses and willpower of its host are getting weaker. The nine-tailed fox wanted revenge for the humiliation he suffered by the hands of this kid and used its hatred-filled chakra through the gaps between the cage bars and started fueling imagination of the blonde kid's mind. In the real world, imaginary flashes of what would happen to his mom, his sister, and his friends kept on playing in Naruto's mind if he ever lost control. Without even realizing it, Naruto started hyperventilating, fueled by all the imaginations that his mind was portraying in detail, and fell. Mizuki saw his opportunity and took out another shuriken and coated it with the strongest poison he has and threw it at the blonde boy. "Naruto!" Iruka shouted. Naruto slowly opened his eyes when he felt some warm liquid falling on his face. The blonde boy saw that his sensei took the shuriken on his back that was aimed at him. "Ack!" Mizuki shouted in frustration, missing the chance to kill the demon brat. "Are you Iruka-sensei?" "Why?" Naruto asked in shock. "Because we're the same. When I lost my parents, no one seemed to care. They didn't have time for me. They just forgot I was there. My grades dropped, and I became a class clown. I just wanted them to see me and to know my name. My schoolwork wasn't good enough to get their attention. So, I did crazy things and then I had to pay for it. Just like how you do your pranks. It was hard." Iruka took a small pause to take huge breath and continued saying, "I know how you feel, Naruto. You think that everyone will look at you like the beast which is inside you, but it's not true." Iruka was interrupted by the loud laugh coming from Mizuki, and after completing his laugh he said, "Don't make me laugh. Iruka, you always hated him. You were orphaned because the Nine-Tails fox killed your parents. His parents died because of me? Iruka-sensei hates me?" thought Naruto and blurred out of there with tears in his eyes. Hokage cabin. As soon as he was back in the cabin and found the scroll missing, he took out his crystal ball and was watching everything that is going on between Iruka, Mizuki and Naruto. "Mizuki, what ve you done?" Hiruzen muttered out loud. "Back in the woods. You're a fool. Why are you trying to protect that freak? He's the one who wiped out your family." Iruka didn't reply and took out the shuriken from his back and was about to throw it in the direction of Mizuki, but his vision started to blur, and he fell. With a lot of difficulty, he sat up and leaned his back on the adjacent tree. "Well, the poison is working, I guess. Before you die, let me tell you, Iruka, that demon kid will one day kill everyone in rage just like the beast he is," Mizuki said. "You're right," replied Iruka. Naruto, who was not that far away, heard Iruka and thought with eyes full of tears, "So it's true. Iruka-sensei never believed in me. He thinks I'm the beast, some kind of a freak." But his thoughts were interrupted when he heard Iruka's next words. "That is how beasts are. But that's not who Naruto is. He's nothing like that. Naruto is one of a kind. Works hard and puts his whole heart into it. Sure, his pranks might get annoying sometimes and everyone jumps on him for that. But his will to protect his loved ones is what makes him stronger. That's what separates him from being a beast. So you're wrong, he's nothing like the nine-tailed fox. He's Naruto Senju, a proud shinobi of the village hidden in the leaves." "Huh? You really believe that, Iruka?" Mizuki took a small pause to take out another giant shuriken and started spinning it, I was gonna let the poison do its job and kill you, but I changed my mind. You're finished. With that he ran straight at Iruka with the spinning shuriken in hand. So this is it. Iruka thought accepting his fate as the poison is already killing him. What he didn't expect was for Naruto to suddenly hit Mizuki with only enough force needed to throw him a few meters away from his sensei and deflected the shuriken and sent it flying away. If you ever lay a hand on my sensei, I'll kill you. Naruto declared. HNNN. All that show of strength in the academy and now you only managed to throw me just a few meters away. Was it all just a trick, demon, as he didn't expect Naruto to hit so softly considering his previous feats of strength and speed. Naruto pointed at the scroll still hanging on Mizuki's back and said, you still have the forbidden scroll on your back and I don't want to destroy that scroll by using excessive force on a mere cockroach like you. Naruto then took a small pause to shift that same pointing finger toward Mizuki and continued, besides, I need you alive to find out who is behind you. Who said someone is behind me? I work alone. Mizuki started to sweat. Oh yeah? You have stolen the forbidden scroll of one of the 5 great shinobi villages and you claim that you are working alone. What a joke. Naruto took a pause to have a small laugh and continued, you did this crime, knowing that the entire village will be after you even if you escape the village. So, my guess is you were either backed up by an enemy village or someone whom you think is strong enough to provide you safety from the manhunt that Leaf Village will launch for you. Naruto clarified. That's not true. I work alone. Mizuki screamed and ran straight at Naruto to finish him off. Watching his student take on a traitor and saving the village secrets, Iruka smiled knowing that the next generation is in good hands and accepted his fate and closed his eyes as the poison is killing him. No one, not even Naruto, noticed a decent-sized red and yellow-colored bird landing on the shoulders of unconscious Iruka. The bird then lifted Iruka gently in the air holding his shoulders with its talons and laid him on the ground on his stomach. The bird then approached the wounded area on his back and tilted its head. Soon from its eyes a drop of its tear fell in Iruka's wound. With its work done the bird flew away as quietly as it came. By the time the bird was gone, Naruto had defeated the traitor Mizuki with a chop to the back of his neck with speed that Mizuki could not match up against. Once Mizuki was unconscious, Naruto took the scroll from him and tied him up. Naruto approached Iruka-sensei and checked for his pulse. He sighed when he found that Iruka had a steady pulse and was only unconscious. Now all I need to do is to wait for Eevee to come here with someone of higher authority level. Hokage Tower. I'm sorry Eevee, but I can't understand what you're trying to say. Told Hiruzen's personal assistant as she can't understand what the family pet of the Senju clan is trying to say by yipping and motioning her head towards the door to the Hokage cabin. Eevee slapped her face with her front right paw in frustration. From the last 20 minutes she is trying to say that she needs to meet with Hiruzen, but this woman can't understand her. It's alright. I already know what Eevee wants to say. Came the voice of Hiruzen, who came out from the cabin after witnessing Naruto defeat Mizuki, which made Eevee to release a tired sigh realizing that finally her message was conveyed. If she can speak our human language she would have said what a drag. Back in the woods. Why is Eevee taking too long? Naruto asked no one in particular. After few moments he got bored, how to kill the time until someone comes. Naruto muttered out loud scratching his chin. Then a light bulb turned on in his head indicating that he got an idea to pass the time. Why not read the scroll to pass the time? Naruto said to himself and opened the scroll. Let's see. Shadow Clone Jutsu. I already know it. He then extended the scroll a little and kept on reading and stopped at a certain point when he saw something interesting. Huh? What's this? Fire style, majestic destroyer flame. In the woods. I guess I went overboard. Naruto told himself as he kept on watching the surrounding trees burn with a blank look on his face like he was still processing what's going on. Oh shit. I went overboard. Naruto suddenly shouted when his dumb brain completed processing the information. The blonde quickly took hold of a large and thick leaf from nearby tree and tried to extinguish the fire with his best efforts, but the fire was going out of control. Soon he realized that the entire forest covering one part of the Leaf Village border will be lost if the fire keeps on going like this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Naruto kept on shouting while trying to control the fire with the large green leaf in hand. At one point Naruto thought of punching the ground below the forest to create a massive shock wave with enough sheer force to eliminate the fire, but he decided against it as the resulting shock wave will also decimate the forest trees, and he was trying to save the trees, not decimate them. I wish it rains now, so that the fire can be extinguished. Naruto said to no one particular. As soon as he uttered those words, dark clouds gathered in the sky above that forested area and started raining. A little distance away, on a large tree overlooking this incident. So, she does listen to him. A presence who was seated on the branch of the tree told the other presence beside it as a statement. He is her child after all. Can mothers neglect their children when they need help? The second presence said rhetorically. It's a good thing then. We don't need to interfere now. The first presence said. They were prepared to stop the fire if it went out of control. Yes, it seems so. The second presence agreed. With their mission already being successful, which was to save the poisoned Chunin, both presences left without making any disturbance. Thanks for whoever it is that heard. Naruto shouted back at the raining sky after watching the last bits of the fire getting quenched by rain. Only a few trees were singed slightly as the rain quenched the fire before it can take form of a disaster. The blonde kid vowed to take care of the trees that were singed until they can properly heal. Well, that old man was not lying when he mentioned in the scroll to practice the jutsu only on top of an ocean, river, or any large body of water. Naruto again mumbled to himself, scratching his head looking at the aftermath. He made a mental note to follow the instructions given by the jutsu inventor, or Uchiha old man, as the blonde liked to refer the person, whenever he tried to practice the new jutsu. Then the blonde kid saw Eevee approaching him along with Hokage and his elite Umbu squad. He lifted his hand to greet his surrogate grandfather and said, "Yo. Leaf Village Council Room." Hiruzen was surprised when the Shinobi Council along with the Civilian Council was assembled without his knowledge in the council room and asked his and Naruto's presence before the council, but he didn't show it. He first sealed the forbidden scroll securely and then sat down in his allocated seat in the council room. Hiruzen noted the absence of Danzo, but he paid it no mind as Danzo only comes to a meeting when it is absolutely important. Naruto, who had no idea why the council members were gathered now, simply approached his mother Tsunade Senju and stood on the left side of her seat. I am really not sure that I was the one who called the council to assemble, so please enlighten me. Hiruzen said, starting the conversation. Koharu was about to start, but Tsunade interrupted her by saying, before we start. Since this concerns the matters of Shinobi, I request the Civilian Council to leave this meeting. All the Civilian Council members started gritting their teeth in hatred as this was another direct attack on their power to govern the village after their humiliating loss regarding the Sakumo Heitake issue. Approved. Hiruzen granted her request without any second thought as he no longer needs the Civilian Council for the village welfare. In his opinion, they were constantly undermining his authority anyway. After the Civilian Council members left one by one, Koharu said, "The council meeting today is regarding the Forbidden Scroll." What about it? Hiruzen probed. Even if the Senju clan heir retrieved the scroll from the traitor, he still stole a very high-class forbidden jutsu for himself. Homura replied, adjusting his glasses. Huh? Stolen. Naruto was about to say some more, but a sharp look from Tsunade stopped him. What a drag. You all know who it was. The pup saved the village secrets. Instead of appreciating his efforts, all of you are after the pup cause he saw a jutsu in the scroll. Tsuminyazuka growled lightly. He may have saved the village secrets from falling into wrong hands, but he still saw the contents of the forbidden scroll. Hayashi Hyuga mentioned. That may be true. However, depending on the information given by my Kakaicho, Naruto-san does not have any ill intent behind his actions. Shibuya Barame voiced out his opinion. He came to that conclusion as the bugs in his body did not find any ill intent from the blonde, but he still could not understand why his bugs are refusing his command to go anywhere near the blonde kid. It's not about the matter of intent, Shivi-san, but about looking inside the scroll and taking a forbidden jutsu. Inoichi Yamanaka reminded. Well, since he's a kid, maybe we can forgive him. Choza suggested. Forgive him? The boy took a high-class fire jutsu and almost burned out one entire section of the forest. Koharu exclaimed. Even though he's kid, he did take a high-class forbidden jutsu. These jutsus are forbidden for a reason. Homura explained the situation calmly, unlike his angry female teammate. Hiruzen was about come to the defense of Naruto, but Tsunade calmly spoke, the Leaf Village Constitution, Part 2, Article 40. What? Koharu questioned. Honorable Elder. Don't you know the fundamental rights of the village that you're supposed to advise the Hokage in governing? Tsunade said respectfully, infuriating the elder even more. What are you? Koharu was about to explode, but Shikaku Nara cut in before things could escalate by saying, the Leaf Village Constitution, Part 2, Article 40, is one of the fundamental rights, written by the second Hokage Tobirama Senju. It says that if any Leaf Village ninja puts his or her life on the line for saving the village secrets or the village governing body, which includes the Hokage or the elders or the Shinobi Council members, then he or she can choose to have either the mission payment that is equivalent to the risk involved or a jutsu from the Forbidden Scroll that is equivalent to the risk involved, as long as he or she is neither a flight risk nor a threat to the village. Pin drop silence. The silence that prevailed was unbearable for Koharu and Homura. Tsunade chose to break the silence. The Forbidden Scroll that my son retrieved is an SSSSS, category Forbidden Scroll containing the knowledge earned by all of the noteworthy ninjas that the Leaf Village had ever produced. Tsunade took small pause so that the others can process this information and then continued, my son, a freshly graduated genin, put his life on the line to save the village secrets and the life of a chunin against a rogue chunin. In return he took only one S-class jutsu, and he can still choose 4 more S-class jutsus or mission payment for 4 S-ranked missions according to the fundamental right mentioned in the Leaf Village Constitution, Part 2, Article 40. If any of you, including the Hokage himself, try to break any law or fundamental right given by Constitution, then the issue will be taken to the court of the Fire Daimyo, who will retract all the support from the village once it gets proven that the fundamental rights and laws set down by the Leaf Village Constitution are being broken. Koharu opened and closed her mouth few times trying to come up with a fair argument but could not find one. Beside her, Homura was in the same condition. Seeing that his teammates were out of words to counter the argument of the defense, Hiruzen coughed to get the attention. Well, since as it is a fundamental right, Naruto Senju is innocent, and if he wants he can choose to ask for the remaining 4 jutsus or equivalent mission payments. Seeing no one arguing anymore, Hiruzen addressed the council. If that is all, then let's retire for the night and we shall discuss about the compromise in village security and issue regarding the traitor in a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. With that, one by one all of them left and only Tsunade, Hiruzen, and Naruto were left in the room. Wow, Mom. You're so cool. You should have looked at their faces. They all seemed like they just swallowed a frog. Naruto said, excited, pointing to the door through which the council members left, to which Tsunade just smiled and ruffled his hair, which made him smile even more brightly. That's why I always think that your mom would make one hell of a Hokage. Hiruzen intelligently laid his trap for Tsunade. Sensei. I'm not falling for your tricks. Tsunade replied with her dangerously sweet smile and took Naruto's hand before leaving the room. Shit. It was too obvious. Next time I have to be even more subtle. Hiruzen mumbled to himself after slamming the table with his fist in frustration. That night. Senju residence. A small feast was prepared by Tsunade for the small family to celebrate Naruto's graduation. Even Katsuya was also present with the family to celebrate. Naruto received a high-quality shuriken and kunao set as present from Tsunade, a field first aid kit as a present from Shizune, and 3 sets of fingerless gloves as a present from Izumi. The family did not start the feast yet, as they were waiting for another person too. As if on K, there came a loud proclamation. I am the hermit of Mount Miyaboku. All those present there turned towards the source of the voice. The man on whom ladies swoon over. Sure enough, there he was. Jiraiya, in the middle of his weird dance along with Gamma. Not again. Mumbled the ladies of the house, who were Tsunade, Shizune, Izumi, Katsuyu, Taunton and Eevee. 3 years of witnessing Jiraiya's weird antics had scarred Izumi's mind enough that they are not doing any more harm to her mind than they already did. I am Jiraiya, the Toad Sage. Jiraiya finished his dance with his weird finishing pose in perfect sync with Gamma. Uncle Jiraiya, Naruto shouted in excitement as he ran as fast as he could and jumped up towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya caught the excited boy in his hands and spun him around, making the boy laugh and then set him down. I'm glad you're here, pervert. Tsunade said. Shizune, Izumi, Taunton, Eevee, and Katsuya were trying so hard to maintain a poker face but were failing miserably at the pervert remark. Hey. Jiraiya shouted like a stubborn child and said, I'm not a pervert. But before he can complete his sentence, Tsunade said, Yeah, we all know you're a super pervert. Which was the last straw, as Shizune, Izumi, Taunton, Katsuyu, and Eevee burst out laughing. Soon the ladies of the house left to prepare the feast, leaving Naruto with Jiraiya. Jiraiya turned to Naruto and said, Naruto. Since you've become a shinobi, you are now considered as an adult by the village and by me. Seeing Naruto listening to him with rapt attention, Jiraiya kneeled in front of the blonde and continued, since you're an adult and a ninja now, I'm gonna pass on my knowledge to you. Cool. What is it, pervy sage? Have you finally decided to train me fully? Naruto asked excitedly. Jiraiya got used to being called pervy sage for so long that at some point he accepted it as a nickname for him given by his godson. Jiraiya smiled at the blonde kid's excitement and ruffled his hair a little and said, no Naruto. But what I'm gonna pass on to you has too much value for it. So, you have to promise that you'll keep it absolutely secret. I promise. Naruto said without any delay. Jiraiya looked around a little to make sure that there are no eavesdroppers. Once he was sure that the coast is clear, he pulled out a thing from his coat which was wrapped in cloth and handed it to Naruto. Naruto excitedly opened the present and whatever was in the wrapping, it was so bright that it took Naruto's eyes 5 seconds to properly adjust to the light and he could now clearly see the item gifted to him by his godfather. The item was an orange-colored book which was still shining brightly for Naruto's eyes. Naruto tried to look at the name of the book. Ika Ika Paradise. Naruto started reading the book immediately with excitement to gain all the knowledge the book has to offer. In the kitchen, Tsunade suddenly stopped in the middle of arranging the plates with righteous anger creeping up on her face triggered by her maternal instincts. Why do I feel like I have to kick Jiraiya in the nuts very hard? She thought out loud and Shizune who was beside her looked at her like she grew a second head. This day will soon be marked in the history of the shinobi as the day when Naruto Senju had developed an SS, Class Forbidden Jutsu which can knock out even the gods and goddesses. Ino, why are we here again? A perplexed Naruto asked his blonde friend. Well, yesterday when we had all the talk that we might not be able to gather again as a complete group cause we graduated, I had a thought that why don't we try something fun on this night before we are assigned into teams tomorrow. Ino replied a little loud so all her friends gathered there could hear her while removing a bang of hair that had fallen onto her left eye and tucked it behind her ear. For a minute, Ino looked like an angel for Naruto's eyes as moonlight was shining behind her. Naruto tried shaking his head a little to shake off that feeling. Eevee who was resting near Naruto's left side lifted her head in curiosity at Ino's words. What a drag! Mumbled Shikamaru while looking at the stars in the night sky. After few seconds, he sat up facing the others who are gathered around in a circle. He released a sigh before saying, so why are we all here in my clan grounds and what's your plan for the night? Well, I saw a movie where people can talk to the dead with a board and now we are also gonna try it. Ino replied and unsealed a Ouija board from her supplies. Really Ino pig? That's your big idea of having fun? You believe in that shit? A pink-haired banshee shouted with a laugh that no one joined in. Even if it works. I don't think we should disturb the people who passed away. Hinata said gently. Hey Eevee. Naruto silently called to his companion turning towards her with a hand cupping over on one side of his mouth so that the arguing girls and his other friends could not hear him. When Eevee turned her attention back from the arguing girls to him he continued, is it just me or do both Ino and Hinata look like angels for real, as he could not help but notice that Hinata's eyes are shining like the moon itself. Eevee gave mischievous smile of her own and yipped a little. Naruto got baffled at her response and shouted, hey. You know it's not like that. What is? Munching chips, not like that Naruto? Munching chips. Naruto found out a little too late that his outburst was a little too loud. He noticed that all the eyes were on him now. He turned to Eevee for a little help who in turn gave a small shrug and went back to licking her paws. The blonde boy had a distinct belief that she wanted to say, your problem. What was that Naruto? The pink banshee known as Sakura screamed again when the blonde boy was having a blank look. Oh, it's nothing Sakura. Naruto replied while holding palms over his chest and tilting backwards with concerned look, in an effort to persuade Sakura to calm down and tried hard to salvage the situation. Well, could we summon a succubus? Kiba asked all of a sudden with a perverted grin. The dog boy was high on hormones, no doubt. That Ouija game is just meant for children. However, even if you somehow summon the succubus by some miracle I doubt it will take a liking to you Kiba. Shino replied. The others started laughing hysterically, but it took a moment for Kiba to understand the joke on him and shouted while pointing at Shino accusingly, hey. Take that back. However, his dog companion on his head barked approvingly at Shino with a raised dual paw like he was giving a double thumbs up for Shino's savageness. Don't agree with him, you traitor. Kiba shot back to his own companion, balling his fist in embarrassment. Well, in any case, I agree with Hinata that we should not diss. Naruto was cut short when someone else spoke up suddenly. Can we really talk to dead people? Sasuke asked, breaking his silence since he came to the Nara clan grounds with his peers. It says that we can on the box this board came in. Ino replied. Let's do it. Sasuke said calmly without any emotion on the outside, but he could not fool Naruto though, as the blonde boy sensed a strong need for closure emitting in waves from Sasuke. Hinata was about to protest but could not, as Naruto said, yeah, let's do it. After they gathered in a perfect circle, Ino set up the board. Well, the rules are simple. Never play alone, never play in graveyard, never be disrespectful, and always say goodbye. She said while lighting up a candle near them, placed in such a way that it won't come in the way of their hand movements while playing. Wow, Ino pig. You just sounded like the Blair Witch to me. Sakura said, trying to one-up Ino to look good in front of duck butt-haired boy. But she was taken back a little when the blonde girl didn't argue with her to compete for winning Sasuke over and instead said, well, put your hands on it. Every pawn put their hands on the planchette and started to move it around the board while chanting as one, as friends we have gathered. Hearts are true. Spirits near we call to you. A realm far beyond the human plane of existence. Malthus, Valak, Pazuzu, Paimon, ghouls, and many other ancient demons living in their own domains and craving human souls have all sensed a soul with superior life force which is trying to connect with the spiritual realm. As soon as they sensed it, they all wanted it for themselves, but not all of them could walk into the physical plane of existence. Valak and Malthus were the only demons who have consumed enough human souls to walk the physical plane of existence to claim the soul they have sensed, so they immediately set out on a hunt from their respective domains. The human plane of existence. Nara clan grounds. It's not working. Sasuke said calmly. The grounds they were playing in suddenly went quiet. The animals and insects which were making sounds up until now went so silent that they could be considered dead now. Is it just me or is it really quiet here? Kiba said as a statement. All the kids removed their hands from the planchette unknowingly to observe their surroundings. No one expected to hear the planchette to make sounds of moving, so they looked down. The planchette was moving on its own. It first moved on to hello and then moved on the board to spell, I'm here to get you. Well, someone is definitely playing a prank on us. Ino said with her hands on her hips, looking suspiciously at Naruto, who is known to pull all kinds of pranks. Evie stood up and started growling menacingly as she felt an ominous presence there. I didn't do it. I promise. The blonde boy denied as best as he can. Hinata activated her Byakugan and didn't find anything out of the ordinary, but she kept on searching. Valak in her nun form was observing Malthus from a distance, who was on his way to claim the soul that she had also sensed. But Malthus appeared here first, so he had the right to claim as per the devil's rules. Malthus is a black ram-like humanoid demon with white eyes, and he had 4 horns. The horns that appear near his forehead resembled goat-like horns, while his other 2 curved horns resembled ram-like horns. This demon had sharp teeth, yellow sharp claws on its hands and feet, and had a body that resembled a humanoid with a black goatee on his chin and black hair in between his goat-like horns. With the kids being distracted, Malthus wanted to start the infestation right away and tried to put his hand on his target's shoulder so that his victim can feel his presence. Malthus gently laid his hand on the victim's shoulder, but as soon as he did, he lost his own consciousness and found himself in a vision where he witnessed an enormous female divine entity opening her eyes with righteous motherly anger, and he was expelled forcibly from his vision when the divine entity's eyes narrowed. Malthus quickly removed his hand from his victim's shoulders. At the exact moment Malthus laid his hand on his victim's shoulder, Hinata was still searching all over for any anomaly around them with her Byakugan, and for a split second she thought she saw a humanoid hand with yellow sharp claws on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto also sensed it, but before he could grab whoever it was that tried to grab him, Malthus retreated to a safe distance away from the boy in fear. Naruto and the others became alert, with Hinata actively searching for whoever it is she saw. Seeing that Malthus had left his prey, Valak tried to capitalize on this and tried to grab the blonde boy to start her own infestation. But when she did, she also found herself in the same vision where she witnessed the same enormous female divine entity opening her eyes with righteous motherly anger. As soon as Valak put her hand again on the boy, Hinata for a split second saw another hand, and this time it was an old and pale white hand with black smudges on the fingers. Naruto caught the hand and flipped whoever it is behind him over his shoulder and slammed them hard on the ground. He did not use excessive force as his friends were near and could be caught up in collateral damage. As Naruto touched Valak to throw her over, Hinata was able to see Valak's present form, which was a demonic-looking nun. None of the others knew what was going on and what Naruto was doing by throwing an imaginary person. But Hinata was able to see the nun again when Naruto lifted her a little to talk to her. I guess I can only see her with my Byakugan when Naruto is in physical contact with her. She thought to herself. Well, look at you. All dressed up for Halloween. It's a little too early, isn't it? Naruto asked the nun after seeing her weird glowing eyes, dark smudges on her face and her dark pointy teeth. Hey Shino. Is Naruto gone mad after continuously watching all those Alfred Hitchcock movies? Kiba asked, turning towards Shino with a hand cupping over on one side of his mouth so that the others could not hear him. Don't know. Shino replied. There is someone. Maybe they are using a camouflage technique to hide from us. Hinata said more to herself than others. What a drag. Valak, in a desperate attempt to get free from the clutches of the blonde boy, made a demonic scream that only Naruto could hear and released a snake from her mouth to attack the blonde boy. But Naruto, with his infamous speed and strength, started pummeling Valak with his right fist, decimating the snake in the process, and kept on going, making an indent under Valak. He was still holding back from using excessive force. After a while, black liquid started oozing out from the nun and she lost all the strength she gained from all those centuries of collecting souls and simply decided to retreat in fear of getting erased from existence. Naruto stopped pummeling her for a second, which is all she needed, as she disappeared and left behind some dark smoke which was slowly dissipating. Hinata saw the form disappearing as Naruto was still in physical contact, but she could not hear the nun. After seeing the form disappearing into smoke, Naruto said, "Oh. I guess someone used some sort of a clone technique in combination with a camouflage technique to scare us kids in a pre-Halloween prank. My shadow clones, when they pop, they also make smoke, but in white." Hinata narrowed her eyes as she is unable to see the black liquid now, and after some internal debate she agreed, "I guess you're right, Naruto-kun. Dude. It would have been too cool if it was really a ghost. In all the horror movies I had watched, the ghosts and demons always win. We could have had a chance to brag that we're the first ones in human history to kick the shit out of a ghost." Kiba lamented after accepting that it was a failed prank attempt by someone. Not we. Munching chips, Naruto did. Munching chips. That's not the point. The point. Kiba wanted to argue, but Sasuke cut him short in mid-speech by saying, "So it was really just a stupid fucking game. The duck butt here is going all emo, guys." Kiba taunted. "What did you say, dog breath?" Sasuke asked, grabbing Kiba's collar. Kiba surprised him by throwing him away wildly and shouted, "I said emo. You duck butt." Sasuke fell in the exact indent on ground left behind by Valak when Naruto pummeled her with his fist. The blonde boy decided it was time to call it a night before it could escalate and said, "Well, we had enough fun, let's go home, guys. We have our team assignments tomorrow." He then offered a hand to the fallen Sasuke, who slapped it away and stood on his own. But Hinata still had her Byakugan on, and when Sasuke made contact with Naruto she saw some of that black liquid flowing on Sasuke's back for a split second. After that, one by one they started leaving to their homes and only Ino and Hinata were left. Hinata kept on staring at the disappearing form of Sasuke with narrowed eyes. Ino came up behind Hinata and asked, "What is it, Hinata?" After few seconds Hinata deactivated her Byakugan and replied, "Nothing." When all the kids have left, Valak reappeared to reclaim the demon Ichir that she had lost after getting beaten by the blonde. "That boy." Valak started to say in a growl/screeching voice. "Who is he?" Malthus appeared out of nowhere and completed the question that Valak also wanted to ask in an animalistic roar. "So, you dared to come here for the soul of the child of prophecy?" A strong and deep voice of a mysterious presence suddenly came from right next to Valak. The presence made the demons to walk back a few steps, trembling in fear, only to come to a halt when they came in contact with another presence behind them, who said, "I must say, the devil's underlings are truly brave." Valak and Malthus stopped in their tracks, as they have not witnessed these presences since the creation of time itself. "Before you both go back to hell, we have a message that we would like you to deliver to the Iblis or Lucifer or Devil or Mephistopheles, or with whatever the name he goes by these days." The first presence said and paused, letting the second presence to finish the sentence by saying, "Tell him to be where his boundaries are." With that, both the mysterious presences unleashed eternal and magnificent red and golden flames, sending the demons back to their realm. A realm far beyond the human plane of existence. A mysterious person was sitting on a throne which was set upon a raised platform with steps leading up to it and hellfire on both sides of the handrest. He was wearing pure white suit and white trousers, but he had no shoes. He was bare feet and a very hot and thick dark liquid was oozing from his feet. He leaned his head on his right palm and asked with a mischievous smile, "So you went on to claim a soul with superior life force but came crawling back after getting beaten by your supposed victim?" His voice was calm and deep. "We both tried the infestation but failed," Malthus replied obediently in his animalistic voice. "Oh no. The infestation succeeded," Devil replied with the same mischievous smile. "My lord?" Valak asked. "The boy succeeded in infesting both of you." The Devil's statement was met with absolute silence. "You were supposed to infest the boy, then oppress him both physically, mentally, and when his willpower is finally broken, possess him. But what happened out there actually?" The demons dared not to talk. But the Devil kept on going. "He infested the both of you by letting you know of his presence power, beaten you to a pulp I must say, and then if he had enough time he might have possessed you even. A human possessing the demons. How ironic it is, isn't it? My lord, I was careless. It won't happen again." Valak responded quickly and obediently. "Well, you both will be the first ones to get your names written in the history which was being written even before the creation of time itself for trying desperately to escape from the clutches of a human. Well done." The Devil gave a mock applause. Before the demons could have a chance to plead mercy, the Devil cut them off by saying, "Now because of the stunt you pulled, we are under the radar of the creatures that stayed unwilling to intervene up until now, and furthermore, I have to answer to a very angry divine person for this." He then released a sigh and continued, "I am too old for all this shit. We won't disap." Valak was about to say, but the Devil didn't let her finish and said, "I want to say. Damn you, go to hell. But you both are already in it, so get the fuck out of my sight." He then stood up and mumbled to himself out loud while lighting a cigar, "Some things must be done by yourself if you want the best results." "My lord, what are you going to do?" Malthus asked humbly, bowing down. "It's already done," the Devil stated with a very devilish smile. "The human plane of existence. Hyaga compound. What was that I saw on Suzuki's back?" Hinata could not help but ask herself before going to sleep. "Suzuki Uchiha," called a stranger dressed in pure white suit and white trousers, holding a skull head cane in one hand and a cigar in the other hand. His voice was sounding deep and mysterious at the same time. "Who are you?" If his bedroom had not been dimly lit, Suzuki could have seen that the stranger had no shoes on his feet and a very hot and thick dark liquid was oozing from his feet. The stranger started walking towards Suzuki's bed slowly. "Consider me as someone who can grant you your deepest and darkest wish." Suddenly a lightning outside the house distracted Suzuki and he turned to look outside just for a little bit, which made him to completely miss the horned creature shadow of the stranger showcased by the bright light of the lightning. "You're trespassing on my property. Leave before I call the Umbu," Suzuki threatened after turning back to face the mysterious stranger. "I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse." The stranger took a small pause to take out an ancient-looking contract scroll from his suit pocket and continued, "If you sign a deal with me, then I can give you a chance to meet your loved ones and get out," Suzuki demanded. "Fine," the stranger replied while pocketing the scroll and exhaled some smoke from his cigar before his visible form started turning into dark smoke which was dissipating slowly. "You will come to me sooner or later," were the stranger's last words that Suzuki could hear. Suzuki's apartment. Suzuki woke up from his dream abruptly only to realize that the time is only 3:07 a.m. He didn't think much about the dream and wrote it off as a nightmare. He then drank some water from the kitchen and went back to sleep again without realizing that all the clocks in his apartment were stuck at 3:07 a.m. The clocks started working again only after the almost invisible dark smoke which was still watching the sleeping kid completely dissipated away. Few hours later. Ninja Academy. "Listen, kid. You sure you want me to take your picture like that?" asked the photographer who is assigned the duty of taking formal pictures of the newly graduated students from the Ninja Academy for the documentation and their shinobi registration ID. "Just do it. Come on already. Come on. Come on," Naruto shouted excitingly. The photographer sighed and said while readying his camera, "Don't blame me later." Once the camera was ready to click, he said, "Say cheese," and finished clicking the picture of the blonde boy. The photo that got clicked shows Naruto letting a golden eagle to stand comfortably on his left forearm as a symbol of strength and a pure white dove to stand on his right shoulder as a symbol of peace. And the blonde kid was giving a victory symbol with his free right hand. The boy was wearing an orange sleeveless GI with a blue shirt underneath it whose sleeves were reaching up to the boy's elbows and the same orange-colored trousers and blue-color shoes. The GI had an Uzumaki swirl behind it and was tied with a blue sash around the boy's waist. Imagine Goku's Whis symbol GI costume in Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F, but with an additional blue shirt underneath it whose sleeves reach up to the elbows and an Uzumaki swirl on the back of the GI and without the Whis symbol on the GI and without the wristbands. 1 hour later. Registration desk. At first, I couldn't figure out exactly how to do it. It took me like 3 hours to work it out and stuff, but finally I got it. Just like the badass Goku in Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F, but with my own improvements of course. Naruto said when he noticed Hiruzen observing the picture for more than few minutes mentioning about the blue shirt that he added and the exclusion of wristbands feeling proud of himself. He let Eevee roam around freely until his registration is complete. Why the orange color though? We're shinobi and we're supposed to be stealthy. Hiruzen said with a twitching eye at the bright color selection of the boy. It gives me more stealth training and motivation to improvise new ideas to stay hidden perfectly even in an unfavorable situation, doesn't it? Naruto gave his logic behind choosing his favorite bright color. Hiruzen got dumbfounded at the logic at first, but fearing for Naruto's safety during the missions he released a sigh and said, Naruto, it is a heavy risk for you to wear bright colors during dangerous missions. So, choose some other colors that blend in WI. Hiruzen was cut short in the middle when Naruto shouted, Transform. Smoke surrounded Naruto and it slowly dissipated to reveal a beautiful naked blonde girl with her hair in twin pigtails. Her private parts were covered by a small portion of the still lingering smoke. The girl laughed cutely and gave a flying kiss to the old man while keeping one of her eyes closed and said in a sexy voice, Pretty please Lord Hokage. It was more than what Hiruzen could handle and he shot backwards with a massive nosebleed and was twitching on the floor uncontrollably, which left Naruto dumbfounded. Few moments later. That's the sexy jutsu you say? Very tricky. Much too tricky. Don't do it again. Hiruzen reprimanded Naruto while wiping his nose clean of the blood and he made a mental note to inform Tsunade about what Jiraiya did later. The blonde boy was laughing awkwardly as he had just found out that his grandfather is a closet pervert. Where is your headband, Naruto? You're supposed to be wearing it. Hiruzen questioned after noticing that the boy was wearing green goggles on his forehead. Oh, I'm not putting it on until the orientation. I don't wanna mess at you. Naruto was interrupted in the middle when someone shouted from the entrance of the room. Old man. I challenge you. Shouted a kid who barged into the room. He looked to be 7 years old and has short spiky brown hair, blue eyes, and a small chip in his tooth. He was wearing a gray helmet with a hole at the top for his hair to stick out of and a long blue scarf around his neck. Then the kid suddenly charged towards the Hokage with a shuriken in hand while shouting. I'm going to defeat you to become the 5th Hokage. But when he is about to reach Hiruzen, he stepped on his own scarf and fell face first on the ground. My grandson. Another headache. Hiruzen thought to himself and released a sigh after watching the kid crying a little because of the pain of falling face first. As the kid sat up while rubbing his forehead, a Jounin barged in who had sunglasses and was clad in the standard Konoha shinobi outfit, albeit without the flak jacket. He was wearing his forehead protector like a bandana. He seemed to be looking for the kid. Something tripped me. The kid complained, still rubbing his forehead. Are you okay, honorable grandson? And by the way, there's nothing here for you to trip on. It's pretty flat. The Jounin asked the first sentence frantically, but then pointed out the obvious after observing the ground that the kid had fallen on. Who is this shrimp? Naruto couldn't help but wonder with a twitching eyebrow as he watched the antics of the kid. Both the kid and the Jounin noticed Naruto in the room and the Jounin couldn't help but think in surprise, it's that kid. Then he snorted and thought to himself again, the nine-tailed fox. Of course, he's the worst kind of troublemaker. The kid then got in front of the blonde boy. All right. You're the one who tripped me, aren't you? He blamed Naruto for his own embarrassment while pointing an accusing finger at the blonde boy. Naruto got triggered at the accusation and lifted the kid off his feet by holding his shirt and said, You tripped over your own feet, dork. Hey you. Take your hands off him right now. The Jounin shouted, making Naruto to look at him. He's the honorable grandson of the honorable 3rd Hokage. he said, explaining who the kid was. That stopped him, just like all the rest. Ha! Now that he knows who I am, he won't dare lay a finger on me, thought the kid whose feet were still dangling above the ground. What's the matter, huh? I thought you were gonna hit me, tough guy. Afraid 'cause the third Hokage is my grandfather. The kid boasted arrogantly. That arrogant boasting triggered Naruto even more. I don't care if he's your grandmother. So, believe it. Naruto shouted and bonked the kid on the head, lightly making him fall face first again on the floor. This guy is different. The kid couldn't help but think before taking a nap on the floor. The Jounin was dumbfounded to see the arrogant kid lying on the floor. This is not looking good. Hiruzen thought while rubbing his temples. 2 hours later. Senju residence. Jiraiya. I have been waiting for you. Tsunade said with a very sweet smile as she noticed Jiraiya coming in through the window. She summoned Jiraiya as soon as Hiruzen snitched on him to her. Jiraiya froze in his tracks when he heard that Tsunade called him by his name and not pervert. My pervy senses are tingling. Something is wrong. He couldn't help but think. Tsunade. Tsunade raised the book that she was holding in her hand upwards, so that Jiraiya could see it. Jiraiya felt like his heart had dropped into his pants as he realized the situation he is in now. Then Tsunade threw the book away and started walking towards him while cracking her knuckles, so he tried to explain as best as he could, Tsunade. Tsunade. Wait. Wait. Calm down. I can explain. Let me explain. Hear me out first. He is an adult now, and he needs the talk. And what better way than to give him the book? Wait. Wait. Not there. Not there. Ow, woof 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 woof. 1 hour later. Leaf Village Training Grounds. Who do you think you are anyway, giving me a big lecture like that? That's it. I'm not going to be your apprentice anymore. The arrogant kid from earlier this morning who was named Kano Amaru declared and took a pause to turn around to look at Naruto and continued, from now on we're rivals, and the kid grinned a little after finishing what he wanted to say. Naruto also turned around to look at Kano Amaru and said, well, I can't be your trainer anyway. Because I am gonna start my advanced ninja studies, but I accept your challenge and someday we'll fight for the title of Lord Hokage. So, let's both look forward to that day, Kano Amaru. With that, the blonde boy turned around and started walking towards his destination, and after 3 steps he lifted his hand up and waved to the kid without turning back. The kid saw it and gave a salute, standing in attention to the blonde boy whom he decided to consider as both his rival and boss from now on, and he completely ignored his sensei who was lying on the ground while twitching uncontrollably with a massive nosebleed. Almost time for lunch. Ninja Academy classroom. Naruto woke up when Eevee poked him with her tail. Naruto rubbed his eyes a little and observed that Iruka was about to mention the team arrangements. Squad 7, Naruto Senju, Sakura Haruno. Naruto noticed from the corner of his eyes that Sakura's head immediately hung down in disappointment. Naruto felt a bit weird at her antics, but he shrugged it off, unlike Eevee who couldn't help but snort. And Sasuke Uchiha. Iruka completed his sentence. Hey. Just like a switch being turned on, Sakura shouted, jumping up with her hands in the air, feeling excited to be in a team with Sasuke, while the duck-butt-haired kid and the blonde-haired kid were trying their best to cover their ears to protect them from the high-pitched scream. Sakura got a little bit suspicious when she did not hear any kind of protesting screams coming from Ino. So, she turned back and looked at the blonde girl oddly for a few seconds, who in turn asked, "What?" The pink-haired girl just shook her head awkwardly, conveying that it's nothing, and sat back down. I won't be with Naruto-kun then. Hinata thought to herself dejectedly while looking at Naruto. Next, Squad 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba and Yazuka, and Shino Abarame. Iruka announced, to which Hinata responded by saying yes sir. Kiba responded by grinning, and Shino just adjusted his glasses. Sakura couldn't suppress her curiosity anymore and turned back towards Ino again and asked, Hey Ino pig. Aren't you jealous that I'm in a team with Sasuke, but you're not? Oh, I am jealous. But not because you're in a team with Sasuke. Ino replied, downtrodden. Huh. Ino released a sigh and held her chin in the palm of her hand and replied, I am jealous because you're in a team with my best friend Naruto and I'm not. What? Sakura gave a dumbfounded response but quickly shot back, he's my friend too. Yeah. Whatever. Ino said and turned her face away from Sakura, leaving the pink-haired girl at a loss for words. Before the issue could get escalated, Naruto said, Don't worry Ino. We all could still get together when we have free time. and winked at the blonde girl, to which she also winked back at him, agreeing. The blonde girl completely ignored that Naruto mentioned we all and Hinata's heated look at her. She was just imagining only her and her blonde friend gathering together alone. Ino's daydreaming was cut short when Irika announced, "Now Squad 10, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Koji Akimichi." Ino was about to protest being teamed up with a lazy guy and a chubby guy, but she couldn't as Naruto questioned, "Who is the ultra noob that made these teams, Irika-sensei?" At the same time, Hokage cabin. Hiruzen's eyes were almost popping out of their sockets as he was observing the situation live from his crystal ball along with some selected jounins. Well, a jounin started, but he didn't know how to address the situation. "That's bold." Kurane couldn't help but state the obvious. "Yeah." Kakashi and Asuma agreed at the same time. Back in the classroom, the class fell into an absolute silence after Naruto's direct insult. Irika broke the silence after he recovered from the initial shock by saying, "What the hell, Naruto?" Naruto just shrugged. "Well, whoever made these teams is definitely an ultra noob, cause he or she messed up big time," he said as a matter of fact. Hokage cabin. Hiruzen's face was glowing in red with anger at the blatant disrespect, making the other jounins who were present there with him to inch away from him to avoid being any possible collateral damage. Classroom. Irika snorted and said, "Yeah. Like you know how to make teams." "As a matter of fact, I do know," Naruto said and approached Irika, who was standing near the blackboard. He took a chalk and wrote on the board, 1. Tracking team, 2. Capture reconnaissance team, and 3. Heavy-hitting frontal assault team. Every year the new batch of graduated genins are divided into groups to fulfill the roles for these 3 teams. The blonde boy said and took a pause to turn around to face Irika and the class, who were watching with anticipation, and continued again. Tracking teams are needed to hunt down the location of the enemies or targets. Capture reconnaissance teams are needed to conduct reconnaissance in the location identified by the tracking teams to gauge the enemy strength and if possible capture the enemies or targets dead or alive as per mission parameters. He explained about the first 2 teams and then pointed to the 3rd team and continued again. Then finally comes the heavy-hitting frontal assault team. A team that is meant to be used as a full-on primary frontal assault team consisting of heavy hitters whose main duty is to respond to any oncoming danger that needs to be dealt with absolute force and to capture or eliminate the targets or enemies that are gauged to be too dangerous in the reconnaissance conducted by capture reconnaissance team, and to be the front-line offensive measure against any threat to the village. Irika was surprised at the full description given by the blonde boy about all the factors that are considered while making the teams, but he hid it well and asked, "Yeah, so what, Naruto? The noob who made these teams did a good job of picking the members for the capture reconnaissance team but messed up with the other 2. Naruto said. "Huh," was Irika's intelligent reply. Hokage cabin. "Could you just stop calling me a noob?" thought Hiruzen, getting even more angrier. Classroom. See. Ino, Shikamaru, and Koji make a good capture reconnaissance team, as Ino could use her clan techniques to gauge the strategic points and enemy strength without triggering the enemy. Shikamaru could use his clan techniques to capture the enemy if Ino gives the confirmation that they could handle the enemy after her reconnaissance is done, and if needed Koji could crush the enemies with his clan techniques. They make a perfect capture reconnaissance team, just like their parents, whose teamwork was almost downright legendary. Naruto explained, but he completely missed the blush Ino got on her cheeks when he unknowingly praised her. "Oh." Irika replied blankly, cause he did not know that his Hokage had thought this much deeper when picking Ino, Shikamaru, and Koji as a team. Hokage cabin. "You really did put a lot of thought into it before making this team, old man." Asuma praised his father, and now he had no more objection to teach the future Ino Shikacho if they pass his test. Yeah, I did." Hiruzen stuttered out while adjusting his Hokage hat, as his left eyebrow was twitching, and he thought to himself, "I only arranged them in a team cause their parents worked well as a team too." Classroom. "But the problem lies with the remaining 2 teams," Naruto said. "Which is?" Irika asked the question that was also bugging Hiruzen. "Tracking team has both Kiba and Shino, who are well equipped to track enemies or targets with their clan techniques. Hinata with her Byakugan could also be the best tracker, but if she is placed in a tracking team then her ability to be a heavy hitter will be left unused." "What do you mean, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked without stuttering, but kept poking her index fingers. "You're a Hyuga and are already practicing your clan fighting style, and once you master it you would become a threat to anyone who engages you in close combat. Also, If you diversify yourself and learn more offensive fighting styles along with your clan fighting style, then you would become a heavy hitter. Naruto explained and completely missed the blush on Hinata's cheeks this time. Naruto took a small pause so that others could digest what he said and continued again. Finally, the heavy-hitting frontal assault team has both me and Sasuke, who are the rookie of the year and the second best genin. We both could become the heavy hitters if given time, but Sakura. No offense to you, Sakura, but you have the weakest chakra reserves, and in a situation of life and death, you may succumb to chakra exhaustion or even worse fates than death. Sasuke couldn't help but clench his fist about the second best remark, and Sakura couldn't help but lower her head as she never worked hard physically, fearing that Sasuke won't find her attractive anymore if she becomes muscular, which resulted in her weak chakra reserves. So, by placing Hinata in a place where her abilities are left unused and Sakura in a place where she could end up in dangerous situations, the person who made these teams fucked up. Big time. Naruto explained. He then gave an apologetic look to Sakura and mouthed, "I'm sorry for his brutality in delivering the truth." Sakura just nodded and kept silent. If we change Hinata to the heavy-hitting frontal assault team and Sakura to the tracking team, then the teams will be perfect. Naruto said. How? Iruka asked, dumbfounded, cause after all that explanation given by Naruto, there is no doubt in Iruka's mind that the blonde boy's mind shifts into the battle mode when it comes to fighting and he becomes the greatest, on-the-spot strategist. The tracking team has Kiba and Shino, who both use Taijutsu and Ninjutsu, but it is lacking a Genjutsu user to rescue the team if they ever fall into an ambush laid out by enemies who are Genjutsu experts. Even if by any chance their Jounin sensei is a master of Genjutsu, there may come a time when their Jounin sensei must deal with his or her own enemy. So, who better than Sakura, who has near-precise chakra control and can be a Genjutsu master if given proper training to fill in that role for the tracking team? That's... Iruka couldn't find the words to describe what he actually wanted to say. Hokage cabin. That's very accurate. Kurane couldn't help but voice out what Iruka wanted to say and took a small pause to rub her chin and turned to look at Hiruzen and asked, Lord Third, why didn't you place Sakura in the tracking team? And don't tell me you didn't think of that, cause I know you're very smart, as you have put a lot of thought in making the capture reconnaissance team. Kurane was oblivious to the twitching eyebrow of the third Hokage as he couldn't help but wonder, why didn't I think of that? Classroom. Seeing that Iruka was still at a loss for words, Naruto said, Sasuke and me, we both can use both Taijutsu and Ninjutsu. There is no lack of a Genjutsu expert, cause Sasuke can dispel any Genjutsu if he awakens his Sharingan. So, all we need is the third heavy hitter, and by placing Hinata in the heavy-hitting frontal assault team will not only make it a team full of perfect heavy hitters, but will also send a message to all the possible threats to the village. Message? Iruka questioned. I'm a Senju and I also have Uzumaki lineage from my birth mother's side. Sasuke is an Uchiha and Hinata is a Hyuga. Naruto replied, making Iruka go wide-eyed as realization dawned upon him. The enemy has to deal with a team full of Senju, Uchiha, Uzumaki, and Hyuga. Iruka thought out loud, making Eve yip in agreement. Hokage cabin. Hiruzen dropped his smoking pipe when the realization hit him like a brick in the face when he understood what this meant. Making them as the heavy-hitting frontal assault team may actually deter the threats to the village in fear of a possibility that they would have to face a team full of Senju, Uchiha, Uzumaki, and Hyuga. Kakashi couldn't help but praise the logic there. If we arrange them into a team, they could possibly become the second coming of Hashirama Senju, Mito Uzumaki, Madara Uchiha, and the ancient founder of the Hyuga. Guy pointed out, making everyone to look at him weirdly, cause no one expected him to understand complicated logics. Old man. Why didn't you think of that? Asuma asked suspiciously. All Hiruzen could do was palm his face and dragged it along up to his chin in frustration while muttering insults at himself like, stupid, idiot, moron. He then wrote something in a parchment paper and summoned a Chunin to pass it to Iruka. Listen carefully. What I'm about to say is an S-class secret and should stay within these walls. When he saw everyone including the hidden Umbu nod, he continued, I didn't think much about the team placements and just followed the normal routine that's been going on for many years. Kurane, Asuma, and Kakashi, who thought their Hokage was very smart, couldn't help but be dumbfounded at the revelation. Back in the classroom. Iruka recovered from his shock when someone barged in and handed him a note. He started reading it. Iruka. I want you to announce exactly what is written below. I was the one who formed these teams. But Lord Hokage, at the last moment, changed the team arrangements. Squad, 7 will be Naruto Senju, Sasuke Uchiha, and Hinata Hyuga. Squad 8 will be Kiba Inyazuka, Shino Abarame, and Sakura Harino. And Squad 10 will stay the same as Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Koji Akimichi. P.S. This is an S-class secret and don't reveal that I was the one who made the initial teams. Iruka's left eyebrow started twitching and he thought, Lord Third. Why are you throwing me under the bus? Now they will start calling me a noob. Hokage cabin. It's his problem now. Hiruzen thought, releasing a sigh when he saw Iruka awkwardly explaining about the new team arrangements to the class. He picked up his fallen smoking pipe and said, no one should reveal that I made these teams. I don't want Naruto or anyone running around calling me a noob. You are not a noob. You are an ultra noob. All those who were present in the room thought simultaneously. Ninja Academy classroom. As soon as Iruka finished announcing the new team arrangements, Kiba jumped up on the bench and shouted, so, you're the ultra noob that Naruto was talking about, sensei. Akamaru, who was on top of Kiba's head, also barked, which made the entire class to laugh hysterically at the ultra noob remark. Iruka tried his best to ignore the remark and the laughs, but his eyebrow kept twitching in embarrassment and irritation. Your Jounin senseis will meet you after the lunch break. Iruka announced and left, still trying to ignore the laughs behind his back. Hinata and Naruto finished their lunch together, and as usual Sasuke ignored Hinata's request to join them in lunch. After lunch break was over, Team 8 and Team 10 were picked up by their respective Jounin senseis and Team 7 was still waiting for their Jounin sensei. 3 hours later. He's late. Naruto almost shouted as he kept on watching the corridor from left to right while standing on the doorway to the classroom to see if he could spot their sensei. Eevee just decided to get some beauty sleep after the first hour of waiting. Naruto-kun. Just sit down. Hinata tried to cool her friend as she was leaning on a nearby bench and the duck-butt-haired kid was brooding as usual in a corner bench. I don't want to. How come our teacher is the only one that's late? I'm ready to roll. Believe it. Naruto said, looking over his shoulder. He then turned back to look at Hinata and said, the other groups already met their new teachers and took off on some adventure or something, and Iruka-sensei is gone too. Hinata closed her eyes and released a sigh. She tried to say, we know Naruto-ku. But she stopped mid-sentence when she heard some noises and opened her eyes and turned to look at what Naruto was doing. Naruto-kun. What are you doing? Hinata almost shouted, which caused Eevee to wake up, and she also yipped at Naruto. Even Sasuke couldn't help but take a side glance at what the blonde boy was doing. He. Naruto couldn't stop laughing as he placed a duster in the door gap while standing on a stool. Naruto-kun. Hinata walked up to her friend and called him out. That's what he gets for coming late. Naruto replied and jumped down from stool while shouting, surprise. HN. Our teacher is a Jounin. An elite ninja. You think he would fall for that? Sasuke questioned. As if to mock the duck-butt-haired kid's expectation of their teacher, Kakashi chose that exact moment to walk in and the duster fell right on top of the scarecrow Jounin's head. Sasuke's left eyebrow started twitching as his analysis of his teacher's skills failed perfectly. Ha 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 ha. I got him. He totally fell for it. Ha 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 ha. Naruto laughed, pointing at Kakashi. We're sorry, sensei. Hinata apologized on behalf of Naruto, but on the inside, she couldn't help but laugh at the way the scarecrow Jounin fell for Naruto's trick, thinking perfect shot. He actually fell for that cheap trick? Is this guy really a Jounin? Sasuke couldn't help but wonder. Eevee was also shaking her head in disappointment. Kakashi picked up the duster and after observing it for a few seconds he started to say, How can I put this? Then he took a small pause so that he could close his eyes and lift his head up while rubbing his chin with his other free hand like he was thinking the best way to explain what he wanted to say, and then continued, my first impression of this group. You're a bunch of idiots. Hearing that, the three kids got dumb expressions on their faces and were surrounded by dark clouds. 5 minutes later. On top of the Ninja Academy building. All right. Why don't you introduce yourselves? One at a time. Kakashi said as he was leaning on the railing of the building. Introduce ourselves? But we already know each other for years and I also know you. Naruto pointed out, reminding Kakashi that they already met in the past when he was a part of the Senju family's security detail on their journey back to the Leaf Village. Eevee also yipped, agreeing with her companion. Well. Yes. But I don't know the other two here and they don't know me too. Kakashi replied, making Naruto nod. What are we supposed to say? Hinata voiced out her question. Kakashi just shrugged and said, things you like. Things you hate. Dreams for the future. Hobbies. Things like that. Why don't you tell us about yourself first, so we can see how it's supposed to work? Naruto suggested. Me? I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future? Never really thought about it. As for my hobbies. I have lots of hobbies. Kakashi introduced himself in a dull and lazy voice, causing the kids to have a sweat drop at the back of their heads. Hinata turned to Naruto and said in a low voice, that was totally useless. All he really told us was his name. To which the blonde boy and Eevee just nodded, agreeing with her. Okay. Your turn. You on the right, you're first. Kakashi said, asking Naruto to go next. Believe it. I'm Naruto Senju. I like my mom, my sis Shizune, my other sis Izumi, my godfather Jiraiya, old man Hokage, my birth parents Minato Kushina, Eevee, Taunton, Katsuyu, my friends in Sand Village, Kaze Kageraza, Lady Karura, my friends here, Irika Sensei, Ayam-chan, Old Man Tuke, Nature, Birds, and Ichiraku Ramen. Oh, I also like instant ramen in a cup. But I hate the 3 minutes that you have to wait after you pour the water in the ramen cup. My hobbies are training, enjoying nature, spending time with my family and friends, and eating different kinds of ramen and comparing them. And my future dream is... Naruto took a small pause to adjust the leaf headband on his forehead proudly and then continued, to be the greatest Hokage, so that one day I could break this cycle of hatred that shinobi are forced to confront and fight against. If there is truly such a thing as peace in this world, then somehow, I'm going to find it. And I will never stop looking. Eevee poked Naruto with her tail after his speech, which made the boy to turn to look at her as she gave him an "introduce me to bruh" look. Oh, and she is Eevee. My companion and my partner in crime in my pranks. Naruto introduced his companion as soon as he understood the look Eevee gave him. Well. He's grown up in a very interesting way. Kakashi couldn't help but lament in his mind at the large list of things the boy just said. Alright. Next. Kakashi said. Hinata took the K and started saying, I'm Hinata Hyuga. Who I like. Hinata almost exposed her feelings but caught herself in mid-sentence and gave a subtle sideway glance towards Naruto to see if he heard her or not. Once she made sure that the boy didn't pay any attention to her slip-up, she continued, I mean, what I like is my family and my friends. The thing that I hate most is the caged bird seal that divided my clan in two. My hobbies are training and spending time with my friends and family. My dream for the future is to become the Hyuga clan head, so that I could abolish the caged bird seal and unite my clan. Girls her age are mostly interested in boys than ninja training. But she is ambitious. Kakashi thought in his mind and gave a nice smile at the girl's introduction of herself. He then pointed at the duck-butt-haired boy and said, last one. The emo boy, who was as usual brooding up until now with his chin lying upon his interlaced fingers, spoke up, my name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things and I don't particularly like anything. Hinata and Naruto looked at Sasuke weirdly at those words like he grew a second head, but the duck-butt-haired kid ignored the looks and continued, what I have is not a dream. Because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone. I hope he doesn't mean me. Naruto thought with a sweat drop at the back of his head. Is he alright? Hinata thought, wondering about mental condition of the Uchiha boy. Just great. An emo king. Kakashi lamented in his mind. That evening. Senju residence. And Sensei also said about some kind of a survival exercise tomorrow at 5 AM in training ground 7, and he asked us to skip our breakfast too. Naruto explained the events of today to his family as they were having dinner. I am sure you will perform good tomorrow, Naru. Tsunade assured her son. Shizune and Izumi also nodded, agreeing with Tsunade. Next morning. 4:30 AM. Huh? I thought you said that your sensei asked you to skip your breakfast. Izumi asked as soon as she entered the dining room and saw Naruto eating his breakfast. Naruto just shrugged and replied, only an idiot would skip his breakfast when he is about to perform an important task. 6 hours later. Training ground 7. I feel like an idiot for skipping my breakfast. Sasuke couldn't help but mutter out loud as he heard his stomach growl for the 5th time since he arrived in the training grounds 6 hours ago. I am also hungry. Sensei is still not here. Hinata said meekly in embarrassment after her own stomach growled for the first time since she arrived. Naruto and Eevee, who were sleeping up until now, woke up after they heard Hineda's stomach growl. They both fell asleep at 5:15 a.m. itself to be fresh and well rested for their survival exercise when Kakashi will eventually arrive. Naruto rubbed his eyes and said, "I packed some additional supplies. I can share them with both of you. You had them and didn't tell us up until now." The duck-butt-haired kid shouted, throwing all his Uchiha dignity in the gutter. "Hey team. I just woke up and didn't know that you didn't eat your breakfast." Naruto defended himself. "I didn't eat because sensei told us to skip our breakfast," Sasuke said angrily. "Only an idiot would go to perform a task with an empty stomach." Naruto said sarcastically and unsealed some fruits from his sealing scroll and held them out for his teammates. The duck-butt-haired kid just grabbed the offered fruits and started eating in a hurry. Hinata also gently accepted fruits and started eating. 10 minutes later. "Yo!" came the voice of Kakashi after the kids finished eating. "You're late," Naruto said very calmly, which seemed odd to Kakashi as he expected the blonde boy to shout at him for being late. "Well, a black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way." Kakashi used one of his usual excuses. "Sensei, you were late yesterday too. But I let it go because it was the first time." Naruto was still sounding calm. "Oh." Kakashi rubbed his chin like he was trying to remember what happened and said, "Yesterday, I just got lost on the path of life." "Well then you better find the correct path soon or I will be forced to file a complaint for a disciplinary action against you for your tardiness." Naruto gave an underlined threat. Kakashi was initially shocked at the threat, but he didn't let it show and instead gave a nice smile and said, "A genin cannot file a complaint against his superior. If it could be filed, it would have been filed a long time ago. That's because no one thought of filing a complaint against you before for being lazy and possibly endangering the welfare of your subordinates in high-risk missions by not being present on time when they needed you the most. But trust me, I won't hesitate to do it if you're late again," said the blonde boy. Kakashi hid his irritation well and said, "What would a complaint against me for being a little lazy would do to me?" Hinata and Sasuke were too stunned to respond by the serious turn of events between their teammate and their sensei and don't know what to do. Eevee just shook her head, disappointed at the Jounin's lack of knowledge, and Naruto replied, "If you were found being lazy, then according to the shinobi code of conduct you could be demoted to either Chunin or Genin. There is also a possibility that you could be completely removed from the shinobi program." Kakashi narrowed his eye at the underlined threat, but he did not argue with the boy anymore because what the blonde boy said was completely true. So instead of responding to the warning he said, "Well, let's get started." Kakashi set up an alarm clock on a nearby tree stump and said, "Here we go. It's set for noon." He took a small pause to activate the alarm and took out a pair of bells which made some jingling sounds and then said, "Your assignment is very simple. You just have to take these bells from me. That's all there is to it." Was the intelligent reply from Naruto. "If you can't get them by noon, you go without lunch. You'll be tied to those posts and you watch while I eat my lunch in front of you," Kakashi explained. Hokage cabin. Iruka. "Why did you wish to see me? I don't think you came here merely to drink tea with me and chat, do you?" Hiruzen asked the Chunin. Naruto has been assigned to Squad 7. The Jounin in charge of that group. Just how tough a trainer is he? The Chunin voiced out his question. "Kakashi, you mean? You are concerned about him?" Hiruzen said. "I am. I heard a rumor about his training methods," Iruka said. Hiruzen took out a file and extended it to Iruka. The Chunin looked at the file and asked, "What's this?" "All the trainees who have ever been assigned to him. Those who passed and those who failed," Hiruzen replied. "May I?" Iruka asked permission to look through the file, and when Hiruzen nodded he took the file and began to read through it. Training Ground 7. You can use any weapons including shuriken. If you are not prepared to kill me, you won't be able to take the bells, Kakashi said after he completed explaining the consequences of not getting the bells and what happens to the one who did not get a bell if the remaining two get a bell each. "Those weapons are too dangerous, sensei," Hinata tried to say, but Naruto interrupted her by saying, "He. Especially since you couldn't even dodge that eraser." Mentioning the prank he pulled on the Jounin, and Eevee also yipped, agreeing. "Class clowns are usually the weakest links. You can ignore them," Kakashi stated, making fun of the blonde boy. Then he completely ignored the shout of "hey" coming from the boy and said, "When I say start, come at me with the intent to kill." Hokage cabin. "It can't be. This is even worse than the rumors. Iruka said in shock after he read through the file. Kakashi's test may be a bit more difficult than others. Hiruzen said. A bit more difficult? Not a single student has ever passed his test. Iruka almost shouted. That's true. They all tried but not one of them could live up to Kakashi's standards. So, they were all eliminated. Hiruzen replied. Training Ground 7. Ninja must know how to conceal their movements and hide effectively. Kakashi said out loud so that the hiding genin could hear him clearly. Well, they understand that much. They've hidden well. Kakashi thought complimenting about how good Hinata and Sasuke hid themselves almost perfectly, but then he noticed something. Yo-sensei. What you said earlier. Come at me with the intent to kill. Did you really mean it? The blonde boy asked, standing out in the open while scratching his head. Hokage cabin. Iruka was about to shout out his concerns about Naruto being assigned to someone like Kakashi, but Hiruzen raised his hand prompting him to stop, and then Hiruzen calmly said, I know that you are worried about Naruto. I am also worried, Iruka. But not about Naruto. Training Ground 7. Fool. Sasuke muttered to himself when he saw the blonde boy going out in the open to confront the Jounin. You know. Compared to the others, you're a little bit weird. Kakashi couldn't help but say. Oh yeah? The only thing weird here is your haircut. Naruto shot back. But then he sighed and asked again, you said, come at me with the intent to kill. Did you really mean it? Hokage cabin. What do you mean, Lord Hokage? Iruka asked, perplexed. It's not Naruto who I'm worried about. Hiruzen took a pause to release the smoke and continued, it is Kakashi that I'm worried about. Training Ground 7. Kakashi lazily pulled out his favorite orange-colored book and said, yes, I mean it. Come at me with the intent to kill. Naruto looked at Evie and she shrugged in her own foxy way and went to a nearby tree shade to rest. Naruto turned back to Kakashi and said, all right. Kakashi was able to read only one word from the book before his instincts that he honed from years of battlefield experience were screaming at him to move, and move fast. Which he did, and he was thankful for his instincts as the ground he was standing earlier got destroyed as the blonde boy attacked by jumping up and coming down with the heel of his foot, causing spiderweb cracks to originate from the point of impact. Kakashi was saved by his instincts alone as the lucky Jounin and the nearby hidden genin had to brace themselves from the shockwaves resulting from the impact of the missed attack. The hidden genin knew that Naruto was still not using excessive force because they have seen Naruto's strength, which was even greater. Kakashi's eyes became so wide with shock that they looked like they will fall right out of their sockets at any moment. He forgot all about reading his favorite book and put it back in his pouch and immediately made a ram hand sign. Soon his entire body glowed bright for 2 seconds and then returned to normal. Oh. Resistance seals. Naruto asked in excitement. Kakashi didn't respond to the question and narrowed his eye. I heard of his strength and speed but never imagined it would be this scary. It seems that he inherited monstrous strength from his adoptive mother, insane speed from his birth father. But what did he inherit from Lady Kush? Kakashi did not get to finish his trail of thought as his instincts screamed at him and he had to dodge again. He barely avoided the punch that the blonde boy threw, this time aiming for his head. Depending on the severity of the damage which he could sense behind him caused by the shockwave originating from that missed punch, Kakashi was sure that his head would have been shattered into tiny molecules in a spray of blood if he hadn't been able to dodge in time. Never thought that I would have to deactivate all my resistance seals for fighting anyone other than Guy. Kakashi thought. His whole body was sweating and shaking with the amount of strain he's putting it under just to barely dodge the attacks. He was about to adjust his headband to reveal the Sharingan, so that he could live past this fight against the walking and talking natural disaster called Naruto, but he was not able to do so as Naruto appeared inside his guard and was about to grab the bells with a speed far greater than anyone that Kakashi had seen other than Guy. Kakashi again on his instincts alone used a replacement technique with Hinata, who was hidden nearby and escaped. Naruto was aiming for the midsection of Kakashi where the bells were tied to the Jounin's waist, but the abrupt turn of events caused Naruto to grab Hinata by her waist, which caused the shocked girl's face to turn bright red and she was about to faint and fall down, but Naruto held her by her waist from falling down like how a prince holds a princess in a fairy tale. Hinata! Hinata! Are you alright? Naruto asked, panicking that he might have hurt his friend. He did not realize that his face was too close to the girl's face. Naruto-kun. He's only inches away. Hinata thought in between the loud sounds of her heartbeat with a red face. The blonde boy noticed that the girl's face is too red and asked, Your face is looking a little red there. You okay? You got a fever? Let me feel your head. And he then put his palm on her forehead to check for fever, which caused the shy girl to panic, and in confusion she mistakenly head-butted the blonde boy so hard that she knocked herself out and at the same time sent the blonde boy straight to the tree where Eevee was resting. Naruto hit the tree trunk face first, making an indent of his face on the trunk, and then slid down slowly near Eevee. The female fox woke up at the sound of something hitting something and saw her companion collapsed near her with swirls in his eyes, and then she turned her head to look at Hinata, who was some feet away unconscious with swirls in her eyes too. The fox just shrugged in a very foxy way and went back to her sleep. A little far away. That was a real close one. I should be very careful the next time when I say, come at me with the intent to kill, to him. Kakashi thought. He was sweating all over his body and he was breathing very hard as he was leaning on a tree. He had to push his body too far to avoid just those 2 attacks from Naruto, and now his body is aching all over as a consequence. A few minutes later Kakashi's breathing came back to normal level and he sensed someone behind him. I was just wondering when you would start. Kakashi said without turning around. I'm not like Naruto and Hinata. I'm an Uchiha. I'm an elite. I'm an Avenger. Sasuke replied, getting into his stance. 5 minutes later. With Naruto and Hinata. Shit. All I can sense is that he is somewhere around in this training ground, but I am not able to pinpoint his exact location. Naruto lamented after trying and failing to find the exact location of their sensei for the second time. Hinata also tried to look for their sensei with her Byakugan, but she also could not find their sensei. Naruto-kun. I think we should start looking for Sasuke, so that we can regroup and make a better strategy together. Hinata, who was still a little red-faced, gave her suggestion while poking her index fingers. A little far away. Overlooking Naruto and Hinata. Interesting. He can still sense me even after I applied an advanced chakra concealing seal on myself? Kakashi thought, surprised that the boy can still sense him somewhat. He was constantly keeping himself in the Byakugan's blind spot range so that Hinata couldn't find him either. With Naruto and Hinata. Okay, wait. Naruto agreed with Hinata and concentrated on locating Sasuke's chakra signature. Soon the blonde boy and the Hyuga princess found their third teammate in a very funny position near the 3 training stumps. Sasuke was buried up to his neck and only his head was above the ground in front of the middle training stump. Team. Naruto was trying hard not to laugh and Hinata was also the same. Dope. Don't even think of making a joke. Sasuke warned. What are you doing, duck butt? Are you laying eggs underground? Naruto asked, laughing so hard that he had tears in his eyes. Hinata was trying to maintain a poker face but was failing miserably. The alarm went off, stopping the laughter of the blonde boy. Realizing that their time ran out, Naruto and Hinata just decided to lay down on both sides of their third teammate, and somehow they conveniently forgot to help their teammate to get out. Soon Kakashi appeared in front of the genins, and at the exact same moment Sasuke's stomach decided to growl as he had only eaten few fruits earlier. Kakashi seemed amused and said, "Oh. Stomach's growling, huh? Oh, by the way. About this exercise. Well, I've decided I won't send any of you back to the academy. Then that means all 3 of us?" Naruto asked, getting excited. He didn't even wait for an answer and helped Sasuke to get out of the ground. Yes, all 3 of you are being dropped from the program permanently. Kakashi answered. Why, sensei? Hinata asked with a shocked expression, whereas Naruto's mood just changed into a serious one, but he remained silent. Because you don't think like ninja. You think like little kids. Like brats. Kakashi replied. Sasuke, in a fit of rage, charged at the Jounin blindly but immediately found himself on the ground lying on his stomach with Kakashi on top of his back. The Jounin's foot was on his head, forcing it down, and his left hand was locked behind his back by the Jounin. You think it's all about you? Hokage cabin. Unbelievable. How can you say you are worried about Kakashi, Lord Hokage? He's never passed a single student. He fails all of them. Iruka ranted, worrying about the kids who were his former students. Iruka. You still don't know what I know. Hiruzen said calmly, releasing a puff of smoke. Training Ground 7. You don't know what it means to be a ninja. Kakashi said, and took out a kunai from his pouch and held it at Sasuke's throat and ordered, Hinata. Kill Naruto now or Sasuke dies. Sensei. Let go of Sasuke. Surprisingly, it was Hinata who said that. Instead of getting scared of Kakashi, she got into her gentle fist stance with her Byakugan getting activated and the nerves around her eyes are getting dangerously intense. You think it's a game? Huh? Kakashi asked casually, not really caring about the threat issued by the Hyuga princess. Hinata got into a more aggressive stance and said, "You're within my range, sensei." Gentle fist, Atria. But she didn't get to finish her sentence as she was interrupted by Naruto, who said, "You have exactly 3 seconds to release our teammate, sensei." Hokage cabin. What are you talking about, Lord Hokage? What is it that I don't know? Iruka asked. You're just worried that your students may fail Kakashi's test. I am worried about Kakashi, who's never met someone as ridiculously strong as Naruto except maybe Guy. Hiruzen replied. Training ground 7. You think you can scare me, Genin? Kakashi taunted. But he was still on high alert as he just witnessed the boy's strength and speed. Hokage cabin. He might be too strong. But how can he face a war veteran, former Umbu, and a Jounin like Kakashi who has years of battlefield experience? Iruka. What I am about to give you is highly confidential information and you should keep it to yourself. Hiruzen said, and when Iruka nodded he took out a file from his robes and handed that to the Chunin. Baba Yaga. Iruka read out the name on the file before going through the contents of it. Training ground 7. 3. Naruto started the reverse countdown. Hinata. As I said earlier. Kill Naruto now or Sasuke dies. Kakashi repeated, ignoring Naruto's countdown. Hinata did not respond and remained in her stance. Hokage cabin. The sound of the file and its contents dropping from Iruka's hands onto the floor broke the silence that prevailed in the room. This can't be true. Iruka said with a horrified expression. As unbelievable as that is. It is the truth. I only found out about this after the Uchiha massacre. Hiruzen replied after releasing a heavy sigh. Lord Hokage. You must stop this. It could be dangerous for Kakashi. Iruka shouted, this time without caring that he was in front of the Hokage. Training ground 7. 2. Naruto kept counting. Being arrogant, I see. Kakashi taunted again. Hokage cabin. In the entire village, Kakashi and Guy are the only Jounins who could possibly survive this. And Guy already has his own team of genin. That's why Kakashi was the best choice to lead this team. But how can he survive something like this? Iruka questioned in shock, referring to the contents of the confidential file. Training ground 7. 1. Naruto finished counting. Hokage cabin. If Kakashi can't survive this, I am not sure who can, other than Guy. Hiruzen replied. Training ground 7. So, what? The time is up. What you gonna do? Kakashi couldn't finish his sentence before his instincts went crazy again and he was forced to let Sasuke go as he had to dodge a slap kick barely in time that destroyed an entire section of the forest in its wake by ducking. He wasn't able to witness the destruction left behind by the missed kick though, as he was not able to dodge the next attack, and soon he found himself on the floor in the same position as Sasuke was before, but this time Naruto was on top of him with the Jounin's left hand locked behind his back and in the blonde boy's grip. If you ever lay a hand on my teammates, Naruto started saying while twisting the Jounin's left hand, which was in his grip, in anti-clockwise direction. I will kill you. Naruto completed saying and kept on twisting the hand even more. Bones started making creaking sounds as the blonde kept twisting the hand of the Jounin, who is trying hard to hold in the pain and not to scream. But soon the Jounin under Naruto dispelled into a puff of smoke, leaving behind 3 confused genin. Hinata and Sasuke were actually confused about how the fuck did their teammate manage to defeat a Jounin, whereas Naruto was confused about how the fuck did the Jounin escape. You! Came the angry shout of Kakashi, who appeared behind the 3 genin all of a sudden. You dare to lay a hand on your superior? You broke the rules. I hope you're ready for your punishment. Kakashi continued shouting angrily as he used genjutsu to make it look like dark clouds with thunders have surrounded the atmosphere around the genin. Any last words? Kakashi asked the 3 kids. We're a team. That's why Naruto and Hinata tried to help me. Surprisingly, Sasuke was the one who responded immediately. And we're all on this squad and we're all in it together. Hinata replied, who again got into her stance. And if you ever try to harm my teammates, in the name of the forests that I hold dear as a senju, I will make sure that you suffer a death so horrifying that even the hell will show mercy on your soul when they witness the sorry state that you died in. Naruto said, declaring an ancient ominous warning of war that was not announced since the ancient times of clan wars by referring to himself as the protector of forests. Just as Naruto finished announcing his warning, real thunderclouds gathered in the atmosphere and dispelled the fake illusions. Kakashi was shocked at the sudden change in weather, but he hid his shock well and replied, "You pass." Naruto gave a confused reply. As he is no longer furious, the atmosphere returned back to normal. "You pass." Kakashi replied again. "What do you mean, sensei?" Hinata asked in confusion. "You're the first squad that ever succeeded. The others did exactly what I said and fell into every trap. They couldn't think for themselves. A ninja must see through deception." He then took a small pause to look at the setting sun and to remember his past, and then continued, "In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum." "That's true. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum." Naruto got dramatically tearful and muttered out loud, "You know, he's kinda cool." The exercise is over. Everyone passes. Squad 7 starts its first mission tomorrow. Kakashi announced, giving a thumbs up imitating Guy's thumbs up pose without the shining teeth, of course. "Yes." Hinata shouted, pumping her fist in the air and breaking her character of a shy girl. "HN. Emo boy just snorted, being proud of himself. Naruto took a small pause to wipe his dramatic tears and said, "Evie, it's fine. You can return the bells to him now." Evie came from behind the blonde boy with both the bells hanging from her teeth. Kakashi's eyes became the size of dish plates when he saw the bells in the fox's mouth. He looked back at his waist and found the bells missing. He barely got out from his shock and asked, But, how? When? Seriously, sensei? You thought my companion won't be taking part in the test? What a joke. And to answer your questions, she is very talented in being stealthy, and she grabbed them from you when you were doing the talk no jutsu just now." Naruto replied and left with his teammates, leaving behind a shell-shocked Jounin. From the bushes, a small dog came out and approached Kakashi. It looked like a miniature pug with brown fur and a leaf headband was tied on its head. "Well, Kakashi, you did come up with a good idea to keep me on standby just in case to reverse summon you away from a dangerous situation. Otherwise I don't think you would have gotten away from that boy's grip." "Yeah. Thanks for getting me out, Pakun," Kakashi said, nursing his left hand, which the boy twisted earlier. "Is your hand all right?" the now identified Pakun asked in concern. "I will live. But the next time I should be more careful," Kakashi said, more to himself than to Pakun. "Sis. What's going on? What happened to Evie?" A 5-year-old Naruto, who just now returned to wave from his trip with Jiraiya to the sand village, asked his sister in a hurry. He just witnessed Tsunade through the glass window on the door of the operating room located in the Senju residence fussing over Evie, who was unconscious and was in a pool of blood. Tsunade was slightly shaking and seemed to be sweating a lot. "Naru." Shizu kneeled in front of the blonde boy with a worried expression and tried to explain what happened without making the boy worry even more. "Evie was attacked by an animal trafficking gang." Wait. Please let me go." A person who was looking like a thug tried to bargain his way out of his predicament in between painful screams as he was in a kneeling position and was held in a death grip by a blonde boy. The thug was forcefully made to kneel by the blonde boy, who held the thug's left arm in his hands and kept his right leg on the top of the thug's left shoulder. The boy kept applying pressure on the thug's left shoulder with his leg while rotating the thug's arm in anti-clockwise direction very slowly. "I'm begging you. Please let me go. It's just a fucking fox," the thug managed to say in between cries of pain. Bones cracking, tendons severing, and blood vessels bursting in the thug's left arm and left shoulder could be clearly heard as the blonde boy kept applying even more pressure on the thug's left shoulder and kept rotating the arm even more. "Her name is Evie," the boy said, and then plucked entire left arm off, making the thug scream even louder in pain. Blood gushed out of the thug's empty shoulder socket and was pooling under him. The thug was losing too much blood at a very fast rate, and with his blurry vision he could see the blonde boy standing like a boogeyman among the unconscious and bloody bodies of the members of his gang, and all he could do before his world went dark was trying to whisper something in terror. "Bab." Naruto woke up suddenly from his nightmare and he was sweating all over as he remembered the day he went crazy. Evie, who was resting on the floor near his bed, sensed his distress and approached him and yipped to make sure whether he is okay or not. "Yeah, Evie. I'm fine. It's just a bad dream," Naruto said, realizing that Evie was okay, and wiped the sweat off his forehead before getting up from the bed. 3 hours later. Hidden Leaf Village Forest. Knucklehead to Scarecrow. Come in, Scarecrow. Over. Go ahead, Knucklehead. Over. I have eyes on the target. 50 meters ahead in the direction of 2 o'clock. Over. Roger that, Knucklehead. Stand by for my order. Over. Affirmative. Over. Scarecrow to Moonies. Come in, Moonies. Over. Go ahead, Scarecrow. Over. Do you have eyes on the target? Over. Yes, I've got the left flank covered. Over. Roger that, Moonies. Stand by for my order. Over. Affirmative. Over. Scarecrow to Duckbutt. Come in, Duckbutt. Over. Go ahead, Scarecrow. Over. I should kill that idiot for suggesting this code name, thought someone after responding to the radio communication. Report your position. Over. I've got the right flank covered. Roger that, Duckbutt. Stand by for my order. Over. Affirmative. Over. Scarecrow to Team 7. I'll try to drive the target towards Knucklehead on the rear end. As soon as I make my move, Moonies will cover the left flank and Duckbutt will cover the right flank, preventing any kind of escape routes for the target, and Knucklehead will capture the target. Eevee will stay out of this because of obvious reasons. I say again. Eevee will stay out of this because of obvious reasons. Is that clear? Over. Read you loud and clear. Over. Roger that. Over. Wilco. Over. The target, who was busy licking its private parts, suddenly sensed the oncoming danger with its sixth sense and turned its head and saw a person with silver hair that does not obey the laws of gravity charging towards it. 5 minutes later. I don't know why it's being cute in your arms. Naruto complained, rubbing the scratch marks on his face when he saw Tora, the cat, purring happily as it was being petted by Hinata. Eevee, who was walking by his side, yipped in a manner that sounded like a chuckle. Maybe because it likes me. Hinata replied and lifted the cat so that its face is closer to her face and asked, "Don't you like me? You're Moonies," to which the cat replied by purring cutely before snuggling into Hinata's neck. Tora then turned to Naruto and hissed wildly before going back to snuggling with Hinata again. I think it doesn't like us or our code names. Naruto thought out loud with a nervous smile as he unconsciously put some distance from Hinata, who was holding the cat. That's the last time I am giving you the chance to pick the names. A certain duckbutt-haired Uchiha mumbled out loud with annoyance written all over his face. Roger that. Hee hee hee. The blonde boy replied, chuckling. That evening. Training Ground 7. Well, another successful D-ranked mission. I think that you three are now well trained for a C-ranked mission tomorrow. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Really, sensei? Surprisingly, it was Hinata who asked with excitement, as normally she would be a shy girl. HN. Sasuke snorted, being proud of himself as he is slowly but surely getting close to his lifelong goal. Naruto narrowed his eyes only a little, unnoticed by anyone except Eevee, and said, Hinata. Sasuke. Eevee wants to go on a small walk. Could you both accompany her just for a little while? Hinata understood the inner meaning and nodded her head, whereas Sasuke seemed clueless, but he went along with Hinata and Eevee when Eevee grabbed his arm warmer and tugged, asking him to come with her. Kakashi seemed a little confused about this and asked, What's that all about, Naruto? Nothing, sensei. I just wanted to thank you for all the training we received from you before going on a C-ranked mission. Naruto replied and extended his hand. Kakashi just shrugged and took Naruto's hand in a firm handshake and said, Well, it's my duty after all. Then he tried to pull his hand back, but the blonde boy didn't let go of his hand. Now, coming back to the training that we received from you. What have you taught us, sensei? Naruto asked, and Kakashi could feel a slight pressure on his hand. Kakashi didn't mind the added pressure and replied, Teamwork drills. And? Naruto asked, increasing the pressure on Kakashi's hand. Kakashi was feeling pain, but he still replied, Communication drills. And? Naruto asked again, adding more pressure on the hand. Now Kakashi's pain tolerance was not helping him at all, and he was visibly affected by the pain, but he still replied, Team formations. And? Naruto asked one more time, adding even more pressure on the hand. Kakashi couldn't stand anymore and had fallen on one knee due to the pain, and the boy was still not letting him go. He tried to remember what he taught his students and then realized that he didn't teach them anything at all apart from the things that he just mentioned. Seeing that Kakashi was speechless, Naruto said, This is the third week for us three under you as a team, sensei. He gave small pause and added some more pressure in crushing Kakashi's hand and then continued, During the first week we were supposed to be learning tree walking, and during the second week we were supposed to be learning water walking. He paused and looked at the kneeling Jounin with narrowed eyes and continued, in this third week we are supposed to be tested for our chakra affinities and start the slow-paced chakra affinity training along with the regular training so that we could master our affinities by the time we become Chunins. So, I ask again, Sensei. What have you taught us before you decided that we are ready for a C-ranked mission? Naruto asked and released Kakashi's hand. Kakashi used all his Umbu training to keep the screams of pain in check, and after nursing his hand for a minute he replied, Naruto. That was an attack on your superior and you could be removed from Shinobi program if I report that. Neglecting to train subordinates. Deciding to take untrained genins to risky missions. Naruto said and paused for a moment to crack his knuckles and continued again, do you know what would happen if I decide to report about these? Kakashi narrowed his eye at the blonde boy and was about to say something, but he was interrupted by Sasuke, who said, what did we miss? Sasuke, Hinata, and Eevee just came back from the walk. Kakashi just smiled and replied, oh, it's nothing, Sasuke. Naruto is having cold feet for a C-ranked mission without proper training. What? I'm an Uchiha. I'm an elite. I am well trained and so is Hinata. And Naruto. He is a Senju. We are the best team there is. We can handle anything. Sasuke boasted, but the venom in his tone was clear when he spat the name Senju like it was a poison. He was still pissed that he was the second best after Naruto. What is your opinion, Hinata? Kakashi asked with an smile again. I. Hinata seemed in conflict to decide. Well, in any case. I know that you three are good to go for a C-ranked mission. Kakashi finally decided when Hinata couldn't come to a decision. After getting a confirmation nod from Sasuke and a hesitant nod from Hinata, Kakashi continued, let us meet at the mission assignment desk tomorrow at 9 AM sharp. As soon as Sasuke and Hinata left, Eevee started growling at Kakashi. Kakashi turned to Naruto and asked, why the hostility, Naruto? Naruto just turned around and started walking and said, I just hope that you're correct in thinking that we are ready for a C-ranked mission, Sensei. Then he took a pause to stop and look at Kakashi over his shoulder and continued, because if you're wrong. Naruto left without completing the words, along with Eevee leaving the threat hanging in the air. Kakashi unconsciously rubbed his right hand that was crushed earlier by the blonde boy, and after a few moments he shook his head and mumbled out loud, well. He definitely is the son of Lady Kushina. Next day morning. Mission assignment desk. So be it. Since you think they are ready, I'm going to give you a C-ranked mission. You'll be bodyguards on a journey. Hiruzen replied. Really? Who am I guarding? If an Uchiha and an elite ninja like me is being appointed as a bodyguard, then the client must be either a princess or a very important diplomat. Sasuke proudly asked as he was standing in front of the Hokage along with his team. Don't be so impatient. I will bring him in now. Hiruzen replied, and then he turned to his staff and said, send in our visitor. Entire Team 7 turned their heads when they heard the sound of the door being slid open, and a drunken bespectacled old man with gray hair, large beard, and dark eyes could be seen standing at the open door. He was wearing a sleeveless V-neck shirt with an obi, pants, and a pair of sandals. He was also carrying a towel around his neck and was wearing a pointed hat on his head. He had a half-empty sake bottle in his hand. What the? A bunch of little snot-nosed kids. The old man said when he saw the team that is supposed to protect him, and took a small pause to take a sip from his sake bottle, and then he leaned on the doorframe and pointed at Sasuke and asked, and you? Why is there a duck sitting on your head? Sasuke's eyes turned into a dark shade of red at the insult, so much that everyone thought for a moment that he had finally awakened his Sharingan. Kakashi, Hinata, and the rest of the people in the room had a professional poker face on, whereas Naruto and Eevee were rolling on the floor laughing with tears. Once their laughter died down, Naruto stood up and recognized the person from his childhood, old man Tajuna. The now identified Tajuna looked at the blonde boy who addressed him with his name and adjusted his glasses to look at the boy carefully. It took him a few seconds, but eventually he recognized the boy. Is that you, Naruto? The following day. Leaf Village Gates. First C-rank mission. Mission start time 0700. Naruto was still in internal conflict since yesterday when he sensed lies in Tajuna's reasoning for coming to the Leaf Village and asking for a C-ranked protection detail when Naruto inquired him, but he decided to not ask any more questions. Alright. Team 7, let's start the mission. Diamond formation. Naruto and Eevee will take the frontal position. Hinata will take the left flank and Sasuke will take the right flank while I take the rear. Yes, sensei. The three said in unison and fell into a protective diamond formation around Tazuna and started walking. Eevee and Naruto were using their senses to see if there are any dangers ahead. Hinata was using her Byakugan occasionally to check their surroundings. Sasuke was on guard to defend Tazuna if anything happens, and Kakashi was busy reading his orange book in the back. Few minutes later, as the group kept on walking, Eevee poked Naruto with her tail and Naruto gave subtle signs with his fingers which conveyed the message I know, to which Eevee just gave a slight nod. Soon the group walked past a puddle of water. Kakashi looked once more to the puddle over his shoulder, but he kept on walking. Suddenly two figures emerged from the puddle and both of them had a single metal gauntlet on one of their hands, and these metal gauntlets were connected with a shuriken chain for their coordination attacks. The unknown enemies made their move and charged towards Kakashi with their connected metal gauntlets and shuriken chain. What was all Kakashi was able to say before he was wrapped up in the shuriken chain. Huh? What? Sasuke shouted in surprise. Do it! One of the attackers yelled, and then both of them tugged the shuriken chain very hard, shredding Kakashi's body in a shower of blood and meat. Kakashi-sensei! Hinata shouted in panic. After eliminating the Jounin of the team, the enemies started charging towards the old man Tazuna and the remaining three genin, and one of them shouted in mid-charge, "Now it's your turn." 10 minutes later. They're Chunin from the village hidden in the mist. Their specialty is relentless attack. They keep fighting no matter what the sacrifice. Kakashi explained after he had finished tying up their attackers. Good job, Sasuke, your moves were smooth when fighting them. You too, Hinata, for providing safety for our client with your clan's defensive techniques. Kakashi praised the two for their efforts in defending Tazuna. Kakashi didn't mention anything about Naruto because the blonde boy and his fox didn't do anything during the battle and were just observing. How did you know about our ambush? One of the tied-up attackers asked. A puddle on a clear day when it hasn't rained in weeks. Kakashi replied. Then Kakashi turned to look at Naruto and asked, Naruto, I wonder why you didn't give us an early warning about them, cause you're the best sensory ninja of this team. Tazuna turned to look at Naruto and immediately understood that the boy also knew about the ambush, depending on the fact that there is no form of denial coming from the boy to Kakashi's guess that he also knew about the ambush. In that case, why didn't you warn us? Tazuna finally asked. I had to know who their target was and what they were after. Naruto answered, and Eevee also nodded her head agreeing. Well, at least we do think similarly in some matters. Kakashi thought in his mind. What are you getting at? Tazuna questioned, sweating all over the body. I wanted to know if they were after us. Ninja attacking ninja. Our entire team is full of high-value targets. Hinata is a target because she is the Hyuga heir. Sasuke is a target because he is an Uchiha. I am a target because I am a Senju, and our sensei Kakashi is also a target because of the huge bounty on his head in the bingo book. So, when I noticed ninjas hiding using stealth techniques, I had to know who they were actually after. Naruto explained, and Eevee gave a feral look to the old man whom she knew from her younger days in the Land of Waves. What do you mean? Tazuna questioned in slight panic. Tazuna. I think I can guess what Naruto had figured out. Kakashi said while giving a nice smile to the old bridge builder. That night. Some unknown location. You failed. You failed? What is this? Do you know how much money I am giving you? I thought you were supposed to be hotshot assassins. Shouted a midget man at the top of his lungs, pointing accusingly at someone who was sitting before him. The midget man was dressed in a black suit and was wearing dark sunglasses. He had a subordinate standing behind him who was tall and bald, and he was also dressed in a black suit with dark sunglasses. Stop whining. The person sitting in a sofa in front of the midget man said in a dangerous tone, and took a pause to point his huge sword at the neck of the midget man in a threatening gesture, and continued, This time, I will go personally. And this sword will be the last thing he ever sees. The person sitting in the sofa was a tall and noticeably muscular man with short spiky black hair and dark brown eyes. He had very small eyebrows which are almost invisible, making him look like he doesn't have eyebrows at all. He had bandages like a mask over the bottom half of his face. He was wearing his forehead protector sideways on his head. He was shirtless, and his chest was only covered by a belt which he uses to attach his huge sword. He was wearing baggy pants with striped pattern, and he had mimetic wrist warmers extending up to his elbows, with matching leg warmers. Ahem. The midget man coughed nervously and then said, You sure about that? Apparently Tsunade has a high-level ninja guarding him. And since your first attempt failed, they will be expecting it back. They'll be waiting, watching. It'll take someone with very advanced skills. His tone was mild compared to his earlier shouts. Who do you think you're dealing with? The person with the huge sword which was still pointed at the midget man said and gave a pause to let the reality sink in and then continued again. I am Zabuza Mamakai, the demon of the hidden mist. Next day. Morning time. The land of waves. Alright Tsunade. As I said before. We'll carry on with the mission, but I'll decide the actual rank of this mission once the mission is over. When your village is back on track and becomes economically stable, you must pay the Hidden Leaf Village the amount required for the mission rank that I'll decide at the end of the mission depending on the risks and hardships we'll face during the mission time period. Deal. Kakashi reminded the bridge builder again to confirm their deal. Yes, deal. The old man agreed with a nervous smile. The group was walking in the same diamond formation as before when they left the gates of the Leaf Village. After a few minutes of walking silently, Naruto narrowed his eyes a little and Kakashi also noticed something, but it was Hinata who was guarding the left flank that took the action by throwing a kunai in the left direction when she noticed a slight disturbance in that direction. Hinata. Why did you do that? Sasuke asked annoyed at the Hyuga. Hinata ignored the Uchiha's comment and activated her Byakugan to look for any dangers in the direction she threw the kunai. Once she was sure that there are no dangers in the range of her Byakugan, she approached the bushes into which she threw her kunai and found a pure white rabbit which was terrified. She immediately grabbed the rabbit gently and started checking for any injuries the rabbit might have suffered. She released it once she was sure that the rabbit didn't have any injuries and was only terrified. That's a snow rabbit. But the color. They only have white fur during winter when the days are short and there is little sunlight, thought Kakashi after having a good look at the rabbit, and then he took a small pause to observe his surroundings and then thought again, this rabbit was raised indoors away from the light which can only be for one purpose. A replacement technique. So, they're already here? Kakashi finally thought as soon he drew the conclusion. No wonder the demon brothers failed in their mission. It's the copy ninja from the village hidden in the leaves, Kakashi of the Sharingan. Thought Zabuza, who was hiding on a tall tree branch which was located a few meters away from the leaf ninjas, and he was making sure to be in a certain spot that falls under the blind spot range of the Hyuga girl's Byakugan as per the intel provided by his old comrade Ao from the Mist Village back in the day. He grabbed his huge sword and hurled it towards the group with great force. Look out! Shouted Kakashi, alerting the group about the oncoming danger. Kakashi and Sasuke dived to the ground immediately, whereas Hinata grabbed Tsunade and then dived to the ground, forcing him to do the same to save the old man from the danger. The huge sword flew past them and was heading towards Naruto, who had his back to the team because he was taking the frontal position along with Eevee. The team didn't even get a chance to shout at the boy to get away from the danger before the blonde boy simply turned his upper section of the body backwards a little and caught the oncoming sword with his extended right hand, halting its advance to an absolute standstill. Zabuza got a little wide-eyed and thought, interesting. That brat spoiled my entrance. The demon of the hidden mist had an elaborate plan in his mind to make an epic entrance to scare the leaf ninjas. Naruto. What are you? Kakashi thought with genuine curiosity as he still couldn't figure out his unpredictable student, whereas Eevee, Hinata, Sasuke, and for some strange reason Tsunade were unfazed by the display of strength and speed. Since his epic supervillain entrance was spoiled, Zabuza had to land in front of the leaf ninjas like a regular shinobi. Naruto turned fully to face their new attacker, still holding the huge sword like toothpick in his extended right hand palm. Well, if it isn't Zabuza Mamakai. Rogue ninja from the village hidden in the mist. Kakashi thought out loud, recognizing the person standing before them. Zabuza released a somewhat potent killing intent to prove that Kakashi's statement about him was true. Hinata, Naruto, and Sasuke. He's not like those other ninja. He's in a whole other league. Kakashi explained the danger in front of them and removed his headband to uncover his famous Sharingan eye. The Leaf Village. Senju residence. Lady Tsunade, shouldn't you be worried that Naruto-kun had left the village on a mission and could get hurt? Shizune asked with a twitching eyebrow when she saw that her master was casually lying on the couch drinking sake and was going through some of the lottery tickets that she had bought from the land of tea without any care in the world. Huh? Who could hurt our Naruto-kun? Tsunade replied without even looking at Shizune. The land of waves. Sasuke had just finished up explaining about the Sharingan and its specialties, though he was still on edge about how Kakashi got a Sharingan for himself. Enough talking. I need to exterminate the old man. Now. Zabuza said, causing Tsunade to tremble in fear. Kakashi went into his fighting stance, causing Zabuza to chuckle. So. I'll have to exterminate you first. Caucus. Zabuza couldn't complete his speech cause as soon as he mentioned about killing Kakashi, Naruto applied pressure on the part where he still held the huge sword with his extended right hand palm, causing the sword to break at that particular section, and the sword immediately fell and lodged itself in the ground up to half of its length. Then the blonde boy kicked the flat side of the sword with just enough force, causing the sword to go straight with its pointed edge, aiming for the head of the demon of the hidden mist. Zabuza only had a slight moment to get shocked at seeing his executioner's blade being broken before it was kicked in his direction. His instincts screamed at him to move, and he jumped away from the path of his own sword and looked back only to find his sword going straight through a dozen trees before lodging itself all the way up to its hilt in a huge boulder far away, causing the boulder to crack severely. Zabuza turned back to look at the blonde boy again, whom he had thought to be a brat earlier. He noticed the distinct features of the boy and the red fox sitting on its hind legs beside the boy, which is equal to that of an adult wolf in terms of size, with a feral look on its face. Without taking his eyes off the boy, he took out a small book from his pouch and opened it to a certain page. He glanced at the contents of the book just for a second before looking back at the boy with slightly wide eyes. Blonde hair. Whisker marks. Red fox companion. There's no mistaking it. It's him. Thought Zabuza before closing the book and putting it back in his pouch. Before Zabuza could even come up with a plan, no need to worry. I will give you and your accomplice, who is hiding a little far away in the direction of 6 o'clock, a chance to retreat, said Naruto after sensing the distress of Zabuza and his hidden accomplice. Kakashi was taken back by the offer that Naruto was giving to their enemies, Genin Naruto Senju. What the hell are you doing? Kakashi couldn't complete his sentence as he was interrupted by Zabuza, who said, I accept your offer. The demon of the hidden mist calmly approached his sword, which was stuck in the boulder. He broke the hilt of the sword from the boulder, keeping just a little bit of the sword part still attached to the hilt. He attached the broken executioner's blade on his back and walked away. Soon Naruto could sense that Zabuza's hidden accomplice had also left. What the hell? Sasuke shouted the question which was swimming in everyone's mind at the moment. That night. Some unknown location. You failed again, came the mocking voice of the midget man in the black suit and dark sunglasses as he came through the door of the room where Zabuza and his apprentice were residing in, followed by 2 of his tall subordinates who were dressed up in the same black suit and dark sunglasses. Some Jounin? The unbeatable ninja just got beat. Limping back home like some pathetic thug. Demon of the hidden mist? More like coward of the hidden. The midget couldn't finish his sentence because he was interrupted by a spray of blood on his face caused by Zabuza, who slashed both of his subordinates in 2 with the still remaining sword part of his weapon. Don't push your luck, Gato. Zabuza said in an eerie voice, sending chills down the spine of the now identified Gato. Gato then watched with shaking legs as the once broken sword of the demon of the hidden mist got restored back to its original state as it absorbed the blood of its current victims. Zabuza attached his perfectly restored sword on his back and approached Gato slowly, making the midget to get terrified even more. Then the swordsman punched the midget hardly in the gut, causing him to vomit his lunch. Zabuza threw a wiping cloth at him and said, "Clean that up." "Shall I go?" asked Zabuza's apprentice, who was more or less the same age as Naruto. "Stay, Haku." Zabuza shouted at his apprentice as Gato started cleaning up the mess, cause he had no other choice. "You fucked up, Gato," Zabuza said to Gato, who was still wiping the floor. "Why? Cough, what did I do? Cough, I just wanted you to get rid of an old bridge builder." Gato wheezed out in between coughs as he was still feeling the effects of the punch that he received. Zabuza lifted Gato by holding his neck and said, "I'm not talking about some old bridge builder." "What then? You mean you couldn't handle those leaf nin?" Gato's speech was cut short when he received another hard punch to the gut that sent him to the ground again, causing him to cough up some blood this time. "I think I should go." Haku tried to reason, but Haku was interrupted by Zabuza, who shouted, "You stay," leaving no other choice for Haku other than to stay. Zabuza adjusted his sword on the back a little and poured some sake for himself before addressing the downed Gato. "It's not about the one who you wanted us to kill, Gato, that angers me so. It's about the boy who is guarding the one that you wanted dead." "Who? The fucking nobody?" Gato questioned, as he didn't possess any knowledge about the team that was with Tsunade. "That fucking nobody is Naruto Senju." Zabuza replied in an eerie voice, remembering the name Kakashi used to address the nightmare that he faced earlier. As he was talking, flashbacks of the contents of the book he read earlier started flashing before his eyes in great detail. The look of the boy who hurled his own sword at him made him feel an emotion that he had long since forgotten: fear. Zabuza then took a gulp of sake and continued, he once was a citizen of the Land of Waves. They call him Baba Yaga. A flashback of the pictures in the book that showcased all of the victims' bodies flashed before Zabuza's eyes. The boogeyman? Gato questioned, standing up with shaking legs. Well, Naruto wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. As Zabuza said this, a flashback of the description that he read in the book that showcased what Naruto actually was, flashed before Zabuza's eyes. Oh. Was all Gato could say after realizing who they were dealing with. In between all the flashes of information about the boy that were playing in his mind, Zabuza approached Gato in close proximity and continued to say, Naruto is a boy of focus. All the warnings about the boy in the book flashed in his mind: commitment. The number of victims of the boy that was mentioned in the book flashed in his mind: sheer will. The advice listed in the book about the boy if one were to face him flashed in his mind: something you know very little about. As he said the last lines to Gato, even Haku seemed shaken by what Zabuza was describing, and Gato was in an even worse condition. I once heard that he took out 5,000 animal trafficking gang members located all across the Land of Waves just because one of them had hurt his pet fox. He had to take a pause mid-sentence as the reason that was mentioned in the book for Naruto's rage that earned him the nickname Baba Yaga flashed in his mind, and then he completed his sentence: for a fucking fox. Zabuza then went back to the sake bottle to pour more sake for himself and then said, for his pet fox, he decided to eradicate the entire system of animal trafficking from the Land of Waves, alone. A job no one could have pulled off. He took a pause to drink the sake before continuing, the bodies he maimed that day laid a foundation of the bright future for the land he grew up in. He took a pause again as a flash of the information from the book that explained how all of the boy's victims were only maimed but not killed played in his mind, and then continued again, the terrifying thing is that he did all of this when he was only 5 years old and he never killed anyone. He only maimed them and then left them to spread the fear of him to stop any future illegal animal trafficking in Wave. A very terrifying but brilliant psychological warfare tactic. Gato started sweating as the facts were unraveling. Suddenly one day, he had to leave the Land of Waves. It's to become the shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village, of course. Zabuza said, and took a pause to approach Gato in close proximity again and continued, and then Gato. A few years after he left. You stole the land he grew up in and started killing his fucking people. With that, Zabuza turned around to leave, but Gato grabbed his feet by falling on the floor and shouted in panic, Zabuza, we can make this right. Zabuza turned back to look at Gato and questioned sarcastically, oh? How do you plan that? By finishing what we started, was the intelligent reply of Gato. Zabuza couldn't believe how dumb Gato was and turned to look at a visibly shaken Haku and almost shouted at Haku as he was pointing at Gato, didn't he hear a fucking word I say? Zabuza, we can do this. Please. Gato cried in desperation. Zabuza grabbed the midget's hair at the back of his head and lifted him up so that he was at his eye level. Gato. Gato. Listen. Naruto will come for you. And you will do nothing because you can do nothing. Now get the fuck out of my sight. With that, Zabuza threw the midget to the ground. Ignoring the cries of Gato, Haku approached Zabuza and asked in a worried tone, how are we supposed to get away from this, Baba Yaga?